Not a good way to start the drive home. We've got a crash blocking the right 3 lanes of 65 northbound. They're near 24 north of downtown. 24 eastbound at 65 north. Then 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike. You got the right lane blocked. Down in Murfreesboro, you've got a crash. 24 westbound near Medical Center Parkway. The right 2 lanes are blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and I am your friend and radio buddy. I am your FARB. And we got 4 hours of radio news and information that you can use. And if you hang around, you're going to learn some things you probably didn't know. And, you'll be able to walk home and talk to the fam tonight and just wow them with the knowledge that you have picked up. And I don't even care if you give me any credit for it. Just walk in there and look smart. That's what we want.
Where'd you hear that, they'll say? And I'll say, I just know it.
And
then they'll know you're lying.
You didn't know this? You just pretend like, well, I thought everybody knew that.
That wouldn't work in my house. It'd be like, yeah, right.
Yeah, mine either.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, anyway. Let's talk a little bit about that interview yesterday, and I just want to go ahead right now and go ahead and get the phone lines open, because I know you're itching to talk about this interview between Bret Baier and Kamala Harris. Very feisty interview, and there's a lot to unpack about all of that. And the number, of course, is 615-737-9986. You got some thought that you'd like to express about what you heard. I'm going to play a little bit of it. I'm going to play some of the reaction, and then we'll go to the phone lines and get your take on it all. Again, that's 615-737-9986. Bret Baier did what I think is a masterful job in handling this whole really difficult situation that he found himself in with Kamala Harris, who wanted to stick to her talking points, didn't want to answer any of the hard questions, was definitely filibustering the whole way. And you just got to wonder, well, how do you handle a situation like that without appearing rude? If you're trying to steer the interview back onto course where you can get some actual information out of the person being interviewed, well, then you've got to ask some hard questions. Sometimes you have to interrupt. And she, of course, took great umbrage every time that happened. Here's a little taste of it.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have.
You see, now what she's done there is she's done the pivot. She has said, well, she's not taking the question, but she's taking the issue. And now she's going to say the things that she wants to say about the issues. It's a good technique, but Bret Baier tries to bring her back onto track.
And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right now,
just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate, and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to finish in my own way without being interrupted. And how dare you? How dare you? I have, I'm trying to, no, she wasn't trying to answer the question at all. She was trying to filibuster.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority.
Again.
For us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
Well, Brett was right. This matter did not even get a look by the House or the Senate, and the Democrats controlled the Senate. So it was a non-starter, and it was a pathway to citizenship was the main thing. It was an amnesty bill more than anything else. Well, if she can say, yeah, we put down a bill, but the bill was dead on arrival on Capitol Hill. You couldn't even get Democrats to vote for that bill. But now that's what we tried to do something, and if you throw down something is not going to have any kind of traction, have you really made a serious effort? Well, she's playing the game to make it sound like, we had a reasonable plan, but it wasn't a reasonable plan. How did this go over? Laura Ingraham spoke to Democrat pollster Doug Schoen last night, and Doug Schoen said he didn't think it worked particularly well for Kamala Harris.
Doug, my feeling on this is when people start finger pointing inside the party when you're 20 days out, that's never a good sign.
It's, in fact, Laura, you're absolutely right, a very bad sign. I'm picking up from my Democratic friends and sources precisely what you're reporting. The so-called blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania is eroding for the Democrats. There is a level of disorganization on the ground and incoherence vis-a-vis the messaging that is clear. And what I'm picking up is that the Harris campaign really doesn't have a closing message or strategy, as we, I think, saw in Bret Baier's interview with Kamala Harris today. There is not a clear sense as to what she's going to do different than Joe Biden, which, as you point out, close to 60% of America has made them feel worse off. She hasn't articulated a coherent plan, and it's frankly perfectly logical that she would say different times, different circumstances, different plan. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what Trump's doing. Vote for me. She hasn't done it, and I don't have a sense, Laura, she's going to do it.
Do you think this interview helped her at all, marginally, or not at all?
I don't think it helped at all. I think she felt she'd reach some swing voters. But to me, the absence of clear answers, the real sense of, confusion to perfectly logical questions that Brett asked, to me, suggests that it underscored all the issues and concerns the few undecided swing voters have. Don't think it helped a bit, and it may well hurt her.
I'm with Doug Schoen on that. I'm pretty much right up the middle. Everything that he said, I tend to agree with. I don't think it helped her at all. So what do you think about it? Did it make you angry? Did it make you mad? Did you watch it all, or were you just tuning out because, well, you've heard it all before? 615-737-9986. Phone lines. We got a lot of phone lines open if you'd like to weigh in. Rick in Columbia, you're up next on The Drive. What do you say, Rick?
Thank you, Bill. To answer your question, I did watch it all. It was hard to do. In addition to her filibustering and just refusing to ignoring the questions, the thing I took away from it, one was her utter Hillary Clinton characteristic arrogance, in as much as, how dare you question me? How dare you interrupt me? You know, and I'm so glad she did so for America to see, because I think that arrogance had a big part in Hillary Clinton's downfall. And I'll hang up for your response.
Well, I do think she came across a little Hillary-like, you know, a little arrogant is a good word for it. I really do agree with you on that one, Buddy, for sure. I mean, Rick, for sure. Let's go to Buddy, who's out on the road right now. Hello, Buddy. You're up next on the drive. What do you say?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
I'm well.
I just read today that Alabama and Georgia, a federal judge dismissed their state's desire to remove illegal voters from the voter rolls. So it looks like Democrats are getting ready to make it easy to cheat.
Well,
no matter how much Trump wins by, we don't stand a chance. Virginia also.
Yeah, I hear this a lot, and I'm gonna push back a little bit on that idea, Buddy. Look, I mean, do we need to be on the guard? Yeah. Look, here's what needs to happen. Rather than sit there and say, "Oh, there's no use in going," well, why even bother? Because, you know, there's going to be cheating. Well, you know what? You've got to go out there and overwhelm the cheat, if there is any. And look, I do believe that the Republicans are in a much better position. They've changed some laws between the last election and this one. They've done a lot in some of these swing states to hold them accountable and to clean the rolls. These battles are fought, you're right, being fought. We've won some, we've lost some. But I don't want people to throw up their arms and say, "Why bother?" You know, because it's important to cast the ballot and get out there and do this. You know, Brett Baer, we still got some phone lines open, 615-737-9986. Brett Baer let it be known afterwards that there were some sort of dirty things that the Kamala Harris campaign did just before the interview. I mean, it was they pushed him up to the wall saying, you know, we're not going to do it live. We'll do it just before live. And the plan was to turn the tape around and then run it without any editing, just the raw tape of the interview. And then they started playing games with Fox News.
You know, when the kicker in football, they call a timeout right before he's going to kick the field goal. They're icing the kicker. So we were supposed to start at 5 p.m. This was the time they gave us. Originally, we were going to do 25 or 30 minutes. They came in and said, well, maybe 20. So it was already getting whittled down. And then the vice president showed up about 5:15. We were pushing the envelope to be able to turn it around for the top of the 6 o'clock. So that's how it started. And I could tell when we started talking that she was going to be tough to redirect without me trying to interrupt. I did this with President Obama. At one point, I just said, Mr. President, I know you like the filibuster. I just didn't even have the chance to sometimes redirect in those ways. I had a lot of other questions.
All right. So, again, let's find out what you thought. Richie in Clarksville, you're up next on the drive. What did you think, Richie?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, it was interesting to listen to her flop and twitch up there. Every time she answers questions, they ought to just kind of get rid of her statement as we're going to obey the law, we're going to follow the law, and just kind of say it in a way like, besides saying you're going to obey the law because you are the president, we know you're going to obey the law, why don't you tell us what you're going to change? Just put her on the spot since she doesn't have that answer.
Or maybe what you said, well, I'm going to follow the law. Oh, you're going to start doing that now, are you? Well, that's great.
Yeah. That'll be a first.
All right. Listen, thank you for the call. Listen, if you're on the line, stay right where you are. We're going to take a break and come back and take more of your calls, 615-737-9986. What did you think about the big interview yesterday between Brett Baer and Kamala Harris? Right now, 20 past the hour. Say, are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Might be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, or any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind, though. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Another top terrorist leader in Gaza is dead. Now what? Police raid a Middle Tennessee smoke shop, and Nashvillians say they don't feel safe after this week's murder on a greenway. All this and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, it was a feisty interview yesterday between Kamala Harris and Brett Baer, and I'm not sure, it was what we call, I'm not sure there was a lot of light, but there sure was a lot of heat going on there for sure. Taking your taste on it, take your temperature on it, what did you think? Rita out on the road. Hello, Rita, you're up with Brian on the drive. You saw it or you saw it afterwards, but what was your take on it all?
I saw most of it, and then me and my husband looked on several of the clips. But I first heard you talking about it when it was happening because I was out driving. I drive a dump truck,
Yeah.
So, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can probably hear I'm not American, but it came here from Norway, me and my family, over 10 years ago, and we are now citizens. But we came in the legal way, and it took us about I don't know, even maybe 12 years before we even got committed in.
So when you hear his answer or her answers or lack of answers on the issue of immigration, what's your reaction?
It makes me so mad, but that's beyond. It's more about the respect. You just lose respect for these people, and when you work hard, you're trying to play by the rules. You're trying to do everything they ask from you. And then this is just a slap in the face. And you see what they hand out. And, I mean, my kids, they've education. I mean, we pay everything.
Right.
And it's just, it's from the very first thing, it was like we tried to adjust to America.
Well,
But,
that's right, and so I'm going to get some other people in here, Rita. But listen, thank you for doing it the right way. Thank you for having faith in the system, and I want you to know how much I appreciate that. And we're glad you're in America, and we're glad you did it the right way. Whit in Manchester, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Whit? Your thoughts about this interview, the answers or the lack thereof?
No answers.
Hmm.
Yeah, she didn't. She was awful.
All right. Yep. And so, your reaction. What emotion did you feel as you watched this?
I didn't watch it till 4:00 this morning, and I was just like, really? I mean, this happened, and you're. Yeah, I can't. I couldn't believe her reaction to Bear, I believe his name is.
Yeah, just didn't seem to be want to answer any of the questions. All right, let me get some more people in here. Whit, thank you so much. Alan on the road. You're up with Brian on the drive. What did you think about the thing?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm fine.
I noticed it. I took it as a continuation of something that I first noticed during Hillary Clinton's campaign. Prior to that, as recently as Barack Obama, we saw the candidates trying to win votes from both sides, both the people that usually vote for them as well as the other side. They're trying to woo voters. Hillary Clinton, specifically with the Trump supporters are a basket of deplorables, seemed to be disinterested in trying to win over any votes. It was almost as though she really didn't care whether we voted or not, like she knew the fix was in. We saw the same thing with Joe Biden. He campaigns from his basement. He doesn't do interviews. And we were questioning, how is this guy expecting to win when he's not out campaigning? And we saw what happened the night of the election in 2020.
Yeah, but what about this interview?
Well, I see it as the same thing. She's not campaigning as though she's trying to win over Republican votes. She's not campaigning as though she's trying to win over independent or undecided votes. She's just out there making her connections to her already voter base.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know why you would choose to do the interview if you weren't going to go in there and try to have a reasonable conversation. I mean, did you just want to have that kind of interaction where you knew it was going to grind to a halt and it was going to be feisty and fiery? I mean, what did you accomplish by that?
I think that's what she wanted. I think she said Donald Trump something like 130 times in the first few minutes. I think she wanted to bash Trump in front of what she knew would be a majority Trump support.
Yeah, well, see, I'm going to tell you that, Alan, I don't think it changed. Anybody who likes Donald Trump wasn't dissuaded by anything she said. And anybody who likes Kamala Harris is not going to be dissuaded by the fact that she didn't answer any questions. There was a small sliver of people out there who were said to be undecided that she was fighting for. And I got to tell you, to me, the fact that she made the decision to go on Fox after not taking any hard questions or doing any hard interviews, I think that the reason that she did it was sort of an act of desperation. I think she sees the numbers slipping away from her. We're going to talk about some of that in just a little bit. Right now, time for the news with Ken Weaver at 3:30.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, the White House says the death of the top leader of Hamas in Gaza is an opportunity to bring an end to the war. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The State Department spokesman says the late Hamas leader leaves behind a blood-soaked legacy.
He didn't just launch this conflict, but for the past year has refused the efforts of the United States and our partners to end it.
Matthew Miller says Yahya Sinwar was an obstacle to a ceasefire.
That obstacle has obviously been removed.
Miller says his death offers both sides a chance to restart talks on a hostage release and an end to the war.
We want to seize that opportunity.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quoted as saying, "This has settled a score, but the war is not yet ended." Right now in Tennessee, Hendersonville police telling News 2 they got a search warrant and seized items that were being marketed to youth that can be deadly.
There's kids or young adults going in and making a purchase of this stuff to get this quick high and then potentially killing themselves in the process of it.
That's Detective Lieutenant Christopher Gagnon, who says police conducted the search at New Shackle Island Market and Smoke Shop. He says they confiscated whippets or galaxy gas, which is laughing gas. He says they also found marijuana. They arrested 25-year-old Omar Al-Azab. And here in Nashville, Metro Parks looking for ways to improve safety in light of the murder Monday evening on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley reports the murder of Alyssa Lockett has people reconsidering a place they once considered peaceful and safe.
Lynn Nelson loves to run here alone. Well, she loved to. Since the murder of Alyssa, she says she won't be doing that again. Today, she's back out on the trail for the first time, walking with her husband. She only feels safe right now in pairs. At this point, she's not sure that Metro Parks can do anything in particular to heighten security.
Part of what's so attractive about this is that it's quiet and it's not, overrun by lights and cameras and whatever else. But I don't know what the answer is to that as far as making it feel safer.
Before the attack, she said she never felt unsafe and would often see police riding on bikes in the area and cameras.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, if you're heading north to get home this afternoon, you've got the right 3 lanes blocked, 65 right there at 24. Got another crash, 21st Avenue and Ackland Avenue. Then 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike, you have the right lane blocked. And looking down in Murfreesboro here, we see that 24 westbound at Medical Center Parkway, you got the right 2 lanes blocked by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I talk all the time about United Structural Systems. They're known for their foundation repair, waterproofing, and concrete leveling. But you know what? I'm going to set aside my normal talking points and just tell you about my personal experience. I got to tell you, I had the guys out to the house because I had a few concerns. I had some of those cracks in the brick, the stair step cracks. Had some of that going on. I was really worried about what was going on underneath my house. And they came out and looked it over and came up with a plan for me. And then they implemented the plan. I got to tell you, the guys were professional every step of the way. There was a lot of long, hard days. A guy named Manny who was out there crawling underneath my house for for about 4 or 5 days, getting everything just like it needs to be, but so professional, and I'm so happy with the results, and so glad that I made this investment into my most important investment, my home. So if you find that you need foundation repair, if you think you may have some water underneath your home, either in your basement or your crawl space, or if you think you got some concrete that's sinking or sloping and needs to be put right, plumb, and level, just give them a call, 615-488-7855. They have more than 25,000 satisfied customers, and they've been around here in this area for 30 years. Good people who will do a very professional job. You'll be impressed. Just go to their website to learn more about all the things they do, ussTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
"39 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. We've got all kinds of news and information for you to use. It is Thursday, October 17th, a very pleasant 60 degrees outside. Yeah, it's definitely fall weather. 19 days until we get to Election Day. And a long national nightmare. Well, I would like to say it'll be over, but I don't think it'll be over on the 19th. We'll see. And we cross our fingers and hope, right? Remember the assassination, the first assassination attempt against Donald Trump in Butler, PA? There is a new report out about that, and it does not speak favorably of the Secret Service. This reading of the report comes from the Wall Street Journal. Panel calls for Secret Service overhaul after Trump assassination attempt. The report outlines agency failures in preventing Trump shooting in Pennsylvania. From, again, the Wall Street Journal, an independent panel investigating the July attempted assassination of Donald Trump called for an overhaul of the Secret Service, saying the agency should replace its leadership with outsiders and focus more closely on its protective mission. The panel pointed to the Secret Service's failure to secure the rooftop from which the shooter fired 8 shots and faulted the agency for poor communication during the rally. But then it cited deeper problems within the Secret Service's corrosive culture of doing more with less, including a failure to fully appreciate the unique challenges of protecting Trump. The Secret Service has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static, even though risks have multiplied and technology has evolved, the panel said in the report. It's simply unacceptable for the service to have anything less than a paramount focus on its protective mission, particularly while that protective mission function is presently suboptimal. This is, I think, a really important passage, because this is coming from an inside independent review at the Homeland Security Department. And when they say it's unacceptable for the service to have anything less than its paramount focus on the protective mission, because what do we know is going on there? A lot of DEI nonsense was going on there. That's one part of the problem. The report follows other investigations into how the gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was able to open fire with an AR-15 rifle from the roof of the building 400 feet away from where Trump spoke. It was written by a panel of 4 former law enforcement officials and builds on findings by Congress, government watchdogs, and the Secret Service's own internal review. The report links security lapses to a troubling lack of critical thinking when the threats of politically motivated violence are on the rise. It cited specific deficiencies with the way it protects Trump, who faced a second attempt on his life in September, when a man pointed a rifle through the fence at Trump's golf club in Florida as he was playing on the links. Listen to this. The agency failed to staff Trump's detail in a way that captured, quote, the unique security threats he might engender, not just as a former president, but a former president with a significant and unique associated risk, the report said. The panel said it was struck particularly by senior Secret Service officials failing to take necessary ownership for the planning and security of the Butler, PA rally, and a manifestation of the absence of critical thinking. The panel said many Secret Service officials appeared to have done little in the way of self-reflection in terms of identifying areas of missteps, omissions, or opportunities for improvement. This is a blistering report. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle stepped down after the July shooting and was succeeded by her deputy Ronald Rowe, a 24-year veteran of the agency who stepped in as the agency's acting leader. The report said the leadership changes should go much further by replacing senior officials with outsiders from the private sector who can bring fresh perspectives and expertise to the agency that has become, in their words, complacent. Well, Homeland Security Secretary Bozo Alejandro Mayorkas said his department would fully consider the independent panel's recommendations and was taking the steps necessary to advance the Secret Service's mission. This is pretty much in sync, but I think even harsher terms somewhat than some of the other reports that have come from the Senate, from the House, from the Homeland Security Department, from the Secret Service itself. So many people are looking at this, and it seems like what I'm picking up on this, it may be a little bit different, is that they really focus in on leadership's thinking processes and a lack of critical thinking about the unique problems that protecting someone like Donald Trump presents. Here's another version of the story from Breitbart. Independent review: litany of Secret Service failures enabled first Trump assassination attempt. Here's justthenews.com. Independent panel probing Trump assassination attempts say Secret Service needs fundamental reform. In a 52-page report released Thursday morning, the panel said the agency failed to properly secure the building that the gunman stood on when he shot into the Trump rally. From ABC News, without reform to the Secret Service, another Butler can and will happen again, the DHS independent review finds. In the aftermath of the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, they assigned a panel of 4 former law enforcement and national security officials to examine what went wrong. The Secret Service does not perform at the elite levels needed to discharge its critical mission, the letter addressed to Mayorkas said, which was included in the report. Secret Service has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static, even though risks have multiplied and technology has evolved. The scathing 35-page report from the independent panel said the findings illustrated deeper concerns. Panel said even at a superficial level of reflection would have been meaningful, but there was none. The report also found there was a troubling lack of critical thinking, as we reported, a moment ago. So, what happens now? Well, look, I mean, I think it's true. It would do well to have outsiders involved in the sort of the operation of the Secret Service, somebody who, you get into a bureaucratic operation and, you get beaten down by budgets and you get beaten down by other stuff and, you lose your critical thinking ability. You lose your ability to think outside the box and it becomes routine. It becomes, there's a sense of complacency that settles in. And then somebody from the outside comes in and looks at it with fresh eyes. And I think that would be a very helpful thing, a very, very helpful thing. So, the problem is that you can't stop and reinvent the Secret Service. Right now, it just can't be done. I mean, you're just a few days away from the election. Then you're going to go into the inauguration. And to restart reinventing the wheel during this very critical time frame, I don't think would be a good move. But what I'm hoping is, and what I really think it would be important here for the future of the service and for the people who are protected by the Secret Service, like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and the rest, there are many others, is that I hope is that once we get into the new administration, they don't lose the sort of the energy where government is prepared to think anew about the Secret Service and do different things with the Secret Service. I, for one, was never wild about the Secret Service becoming part of the Department of Homeland Security. It used to be under Treasury. And a lot of people thought that was weird, but it was a good organization when it was under Treasury. And maybe, when it gets mixed in with all the other things that Homeland Security Department has to be responsible for, things like allegedly the border, and, there's a whole list of things that they're involved in. Maybe it was better when they were under the auspices of another agencies, like the Treasury Department, and they looked at it and they said, well, we can spend more time thinking about this because we don't have 15 different law enforcement organizations. Treasury Department had one. People don't know that the Secret Service, why was it under Treasury? Because they investigate money crime and people who are counterfeiters, et cetera, things like that. And that's where it began. And then when they decided that they needed to have a police organization to protect the president and the vice president, because, it used to be this is no kidding. In the day of Abraham Lincoln, it was not uncommon. There's a hotel just around the corner from the White House, still there. And it was not uncommon for Abe Lincoln to walk over from the White House to the hotel bar to have a drink and people come in and hang out with the president. I mean, that's how and then all of a sudden, I guess after Lincoln and other things, they began thinking maybe we need to have a professional organization to protect our president and our vice president and key leaders of the cabinet. So then that's where the Secret Service came, and they just put it in the Treasury Department because they didn't have a Homeland Security Department. And I think, quite frankly, it would do well to get out of the Homeland Security Department. Well, again, a pretty scathing, another pretty scathing report about the Secret Service and its inability to get the job done. And I just hope they don't lose the momentum after the elections when things do calm down a bit to go through the process and to perhaps rebuild this organization in a way that can give us some confidence that they're protecting our leaders, our national leaders. But there's just, honestly, there's just no way they can do it right now. You just can't stop and reinvent an agency during this critical time frame. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. It's the spooky season. Don't be tricked. Let Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Root Pro partner, treat your family to these specials. How about this? 50% off furnace inspection and 20% off any furnace repair work at the same time of service. Includes a check, attest, and start only. Additional fee for maintenance and repair work must be done at the time of inspection. $69 for a mainline camera inspection from the outside cleanout. Find out if your drain pipes are clean, cracked, or clogged. Up to $300 off ultraviolet home treatment systems, an RM2 system only. And remember, the Busy Bee Hive Club, as a Beehive member, you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at heating, one aimed at plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a $1,000 maximum, and no overtime or holiday fees. As all of that for as little as $99. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Another Hamas leader in Gaza is dead. What now? And Tennessee making progress in speeding up the processing of rape kits. These stories and more at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
57 past the hour, taking a look at the markets. Another record day on the Dow. Ended the day at 43,239. That's up 161 points. S&P was down by 1. The NASDAQ was up by, 6.5. So a mixed board today. What's driving all this? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, another record day in the Dow. It's actually the 39th record close that the Dow has had in 2024. The rest of the market pretty flat. In fact, 6 of the 11 S&P sectors are actually negative today. A couple days ago, we got a tech sell-off. One of the chip companies, as we've gotten into earnings season, was a little bit of a fear factor for Wall Street. But today, the world's largest contract chip maker actually blew out record results, so that's going to help tech. But the big report today, retail sales came in above expectations, 0.4 versus 0.3. That's good when 70% of the economy is consumer spending. And then initial jobless claims were down. So the market really liked that today. Again, the Dow very positive. And so at least for today, it looks like it's going pretty positive for the market.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Find out about all the things that John Maxon and the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do for you to help you get ready for retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. You know, we don't have to wait until November to start taking our country back. We can get that into the fight now with Coin, the conservative credit card. Instead of funneling millions to the left like other cards, Coin advances conservative values and charities. Each cash back, you can earn cash back while fighting back, and that's what you want to do, right? I have one in my pocket. You should apply for one now at coin.com. That's COIGN.com. COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosure for full details.
Four o'clock on the dot this Thursday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, another Hamas leader in Gaza is dead. Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder reaffirming U.S. support for Israeli defense. He said Yahya Sinwar's death leaves Hamas unable to conduct more attacks on Israel, similar to the one that started the whole thing in the first place.
Hamas has been incredibly degraded, as evidenced by the killing of their leader, a significant number of their forces, and certainly do not resemble anything close to what they were on October 7 or the ability to conduct the kinds of operations we saw them.
President Biden said Sinwar's death gives the opportunity for a, quote, day in Gaza without Hamas in power, saying he was getting in the way of achieving a political settlement between the Israelis and Palestinians. Here in Tennessee, since a Memphis mother died, there has been pressure from state leaders to get a faster turnaround on processing rape kits. The TBI says they have dramatically cut down that time, as we hear in this report from Channel 4's Marissa Sulik.
Part of the reason the TBI says they cut the turnaround time by a third is due to outsourcing. The TBI says they sent about 1,100 kits to a lab in Florida and hired about 50 new forensic scientists. The rape kit backlog was uncovered when Memphis mom Eliza Fletcher was murdered on a run in 2022. But her accused killer, Cleotha Apston Henderson, was never charged in a rape case in 2021 because of the delay. We spoke with the Sexual Assault Center today about what these new numbers mean to victims.
Those types of steps make it where the survivors of sexual assault feel like the state is taking them more seriously.
Good news for your kids' health. The number of American high school and middle school students who smoke cigarettes reached the lowest number on record, according to the National Youth Tobacco Survey. It says tobacco use among high school and middle school students reached a 25-year low this year. 2.25 million said they used a tobacco product within the past 30 days. That's down from 2.8 million last year. The most commonly used product remained e-cigarettes. Nearly 6% of youth who used tobacco said it was e-cigarettes. Second most were nicotine patches. Entertainment news.
I'm as carny as Kansas in August. I'm as normal as blueberry pie.
That's actress Mitzi Gaynor as Ensign Nellie Forbush in the film version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's South Pacific. She was nominated for a Best Actress Golden Globe Award. Well, she has passed away at the age of 93. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Still dealing with crashes out there. First, West Nashville in the Nations. We've got a crash blocking the left lane of Briley Parkway northbound after I-40. Then Briley Parkway near the airport southbound. You got a crash there at Murfreesboro Pike. 65 northbound near I-24. The right lane is blocked there north of downtown. And then checking down here in Rutherford County, I'm still showing that crash, 24 westbound near Medical Center Parkway with the right lane blocked there in Murfreesboro. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, 1 hour down, 3 to go here on the drive. Hour number 2, as we bring you news and information about this rather beautiful fall day. Abundant sunshine, but cool temperature, 63 degrees. In October 17th, there are 19 days left until this election. And so, we're going to be bringing you a lot of this, I'm afraid. Our 2024 update, bring you the latest on what's going on out there. And I like to start with numbers, but I'm trying to keep them simple because, you can get overwhelmed with numbers. I understand that. But let me just put it this way. Fox News has a new poll out. It's a general election poll, and they have that Trump is up by 2 in their poll. What's interesting is in their last poll, they had Harris up by 2, so that's a 4-point swing in Trump's direction since the last poll. Again, that sort of feeds into the narrative that we've been talking about here, that there seems to be some momentum on Trump's side. You look at the internals of that poll, the most important issues, 39% of those likely voters said it's the economy, 18% said immigration, 14% said abortion. Of these, those who said that the economy was the number one issue, Trump leads in that category by 8. On immigration, Trump leads by 15. Harris leads by 14 on the issue of abortion, as you might imagine. Real Clear Politics battleground averages, Trump leads slightly in all 6 major battleground states, with the exception of Wisconsin. But these leads are, in some cases, less than a point. But if you were to say, okay, these numbers are exactly dead on, which none of them will be exactly dead on, but if you were just to say, for the sake of argument, if he's leading, we're going to award them that state, he would be picking up 302 electoral college votes, which would be a stomping. It would be a runaway win for Trump. But as again, all of this stuff, really, I just have to say it, within the margin of error. All right, I want to take some stuff here and go through it that I think you'll find very interesting. Let's talk about how many people voted yesterday in the state of Tennessee, either in person or add in the mail-in ballots that have been received and have been cast. Unfortunately, the Secretary of State's office doesn't break out that data into 2 different categories. Because, we were hearing yesterday that in some places, like in Hendersonville and Murfreesboro, people were standing in line for more than an hour to cast their ballots on the first day of early voting. And it sounded like that we had some pretty good numbers. Here's what I can tell you. All told, yesterday, either voting in person or having returned their mail-in ballots, the total number of people who've cast a ballot was 216,446 in the entire state of Tennessee. Now, if you look at 2020, which was an odd year, because that was the year that so many people voted absentee because of what? Because of COVID, right? So that's really not a normal year. But if it's only 18% below 2020, it is 51% higher than what we had on the first day of voting, early voting in 2016. Really, quite a big markup, probably with the exception of 2020, which was a weird year because of the pandemic and so many people voted by mailing in a ballot. This is a record year. Davidson County, which is, largely Democratic, Davidson County, 20,085 people cast their ballots. That's the major population center. Rutherford County, 12,613 on the first day. Williamson County, 11,451 on the first day. Wilson County, just get busy in Wilson County, 6,304. In Sumner County, 5,608. But again, all told, in-person early voting or by absentee by mail, 216,446 people. That's a pretty good turnout for the first day of voting in Middle Tennessee. Got a lot of stuff to work through here. I think I put the wrong thing back. Yes, here we go. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that are going on. The Biden administration has been slapped with a major lawsuit over alleged refusal to help states purge non-citizens from the voter rolls. The Democrats are standing in the way of purging the rolls from people who are non-citizens. And why would they be opposed to that? If they make the case, as they often do, that, there's not that, there's no, non-citizens don't vote in these elections, then why would they be opposed to clearing out the rolls of non-citizens? The state of Florida is suing the Biden administration of what it claims is a refusal to verify immigration records so that the Sunshine State can ensure the integrity of its voter rolls and prevent non-citizens from voting. In a lawsuit obtained first by Fox News Digital, the state argues that the Department of Homeland Security is mandated to respond to an inquiry from state or local governments seeking to verify the immigration status of anyone in their jurisdiction for a purpose authorized by law. But the federal government is refusing to comply with these obligations and is frustrating Florida's ability to maintain the integrity of its elections. And that's why Florida has filed such a lawsuit. In Georgia, a judge has blocked the state of Georgia from hand-counting ballots. Georgia judge struck down a new rule from the state election board that would have required counties to hand-count ballots cast on Election Day, and a decision that came down a little earlier this week. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney blocked Georgia from hand-counting ballots November 5th over concerns that it would slow down the reporting of the battleground states' results. The Georgia state election board voted 3-2. Now, your election board votes to put in this policy to hand count to make sure they get what they consider a more accurate count, prompting McBurney to issue a temporary injunction. The judge wrote in his decision that the rule would cause administrative chaos if upheld. I don't know. It used to be done that way. The public interest is not disserved by pressing pause here. This election season is fraught. Memories of January 6th have not faded away. Anything that adds uncertainty and disorder to the electoral process disserves the public. Well, what this judge is, you can tell which side of the equation this guy's on because he raises January 6th, right? From the beginning, this rule was an effort to delay election results to sow doubts in the outcome, and our democracy is stronger thanks to this decision to block it. We will continue fighting to ensure that voters can cast their ballots knowing it will count, said Vice President Kamala Harris's principal deputy campaign manager, Quentin Folks. How about that? Harris has a plan to forgive loans to black men, and this is, as I said right here on this program, I'm not sure that's entirely constitutional. And I had real doubts about it. This week, Harris proposed giving $1 million loans forgivable up to $20,000 to black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers, a policy that legal scholars said would be unconstitutional. The campaign said in an information sheet that the loans would stem from a new partnership between the Small Businesses Administration and trusted partners on the ground for entrepreneurs who have a good idea but don't have the resources, connections, or access to capital to get their business off the ground, as well as entrepreneurs locating in underserved communities. Some legal experts have said proposals would face challenges in court, as other similar Biden-era proposals have. If you're giving credit to black entrepreneurs based on their race, that's unconstitutional, plain and simple, and against the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, Aidan Abbott, senior research fellow at the Libertarian Mercatus Center, told the Washington Examiner. There you go. Brighter minds than I can see that. But, honestly, how can you do for one class of Americans and not do for all? And again, I like the idea of giving loans, small business loans to get people started. I don't like the idea of forgiving those loans. That's not a loan. That's not a loan at all. That's a gift. And I believe if you get a small business loan at a low interest rate, it gets you off the ground, gives you the capital you need to start a business. That's good. It shouldn't be for one class of citizens, and it should be paid back. It really should be paid back. Unbelievable that they would even try that. And there's another thing out there today, and along the same lines, that the Biden administration, they have found a way to pay off more student loan debt. Unbelievable. That they're trying to do that, but they are doing just that. Trump hatches a master plan. I love this. To troll Kamala Harris from behind the counter of a McDonald's. I'm going to work the French fries, he says. This from The Blaze. Former President Donald Trump plans to work the fryer at McDonald's this upcoming weekend in a not-so-subtle jab at his opponent. While visiting the battleground states of Pennsylvania on Sunday, Trump will stop at a McDonald's restaurant to work the fry cooker, adding the golden arches to his resume. I'm going to work the French fries because I will have worked longer and harder at McDonald's than she did, even if I just do it for a half hour. The Trump campaign has not announced at which McDonald's location Trump will work, although it will be a location in Philadelphia, according to WCAU-TV. Last month, Trump said he planned to work in a McDonald's to get a leg up on Vice President Kamala Harris, who has repeatedly claimed that she once worked at Mickey D's. Trump, however, believes Harris is not telling the truth, and quite frankly, we can't get an answer from her as to, well, exactly, which McDonald's did you work at? She won't answer that question. She won't give any kind of references for that time. But there's that. Finally, I have been saying in the last few days that I detect a trend in the direction of Trump away from Harris. And now today we are joined in that thought by thehill.com, which has, I think, pretty much been trying, its coverage has been really aimed at trying to sort of support Harris. But now they admit that something is happening. Momentum shifts against Harris in the presidential race. The tides of the election are turning against Vice President Harris. During the late summer and heading into the fall, appeared to be the candidate with momentum, with Democrats comparing her candidacy to former President Obama's 2008 run. But recent polls suggest the energy has leveled off, while Harris still has a narrow edge over former President Trump nationally, 1.8%. And in several battleground states, well, I count one, she has been losing ground. In the past 2 weeks, there's been a slight trend toward Trump in some of the battleground states. In Wisconsin, for example, Harris went from leading Trump by 2 points to being tied in their particular polling. In Michigan, she went from leading by 1 point to trailing by 1 point. And in Pennsylvania, in their polling, Trump has closed a 1 point gap to pull even with her. So thehill.com has made the decision that, yes, they better get on board and acknowledge that which a lot of people are seeing, a slight trend toward Trump. 21 past the hour now, 4 o'clock. Oh, we wish it were so, but there are no magic pills or spinal creams that can open up your spinal disc and take pressure off your nerves. You know, in most cases, if you have back pain, it has to do with pressure on your nerves. And you have a couple of choices. One is surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville for pain in the back and my neck. Their state-of-the-art facilities and the high-tech equipment they have offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. And if you are a new patient, you go there, you'll get an exam, a consultation, they'll lay out the plan for you to get better, and you'll receive your first treatment, and all of that will only cost you $23. They'll even take x-rays if you need them. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today at 615-246-5009 and learn more at painisbad.com. SaverySpice.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
What now that another Hamas leader is dead in Gaza and Hurricane Helene's impact on hospitals, surgeries, and other elective procedures? Coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, I am going to talk a little bit about that Hamas chief, Yahya Sinwar, killed in Gaza. The death marks, according to the Wall Street Journal, the biggest blow to the militant group Hamas in more than a year of war. He was the top guy. Sinwar, a U.S. designated terrorist and convicted murderer, killed on Wednesday by Israeli soldiers operating in the southern Gaza Strip. His death confirmed following forensic identification test, Israeli officials said. Sinwar was Israel's most wanted man in Gaza, and his death will likely bring pressure from the U.S. and within Israel to end its military offensive there and reach a deal to bring the remaining hostages home. It represents a major win for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who had vowed to destroy the leadership of Hamas and its military capabilities. He spoke today in Israel.
The darkness has been retreating and the light has been rising. Nasrallah, Sinwar, and others are no longer, I tell you, the residents of the area. There's an opportunity to create a new future of peace and prosperity for everyone. Together we can repulse the curse and bring the blessing. Now the world knows why we insisted on not ending the war and to get into Rafiah. This was the area where Hamas and many of the other archie-terrorists were hiding. I want to thank the IDF, the security forces, and there are no better ones than them. Again, we understand what happens to those who hurt us. We show the world how the good can win over the bad. The war is not over. It's a difficult war, and heavy price and toll is exacted from us. My condolences to the families who have lost their dear ones. They're fighting in the last days as well, bring us closer to, as King David said, I will pursue my pursuers until they are all destroyed. We are in a war of an independence. We have to be unified, to be brave, to be strong, and we fight together, and with the help of the Almighty, we will win.
All right, so there you have it, his statement today, Benjamin Netanyahu. No doubt that the administration will try to put pressure on Israel now to bring their offensive against Hamas and Hezbollah to a close. I don't think they're done with Hezbollah. I don't think they're done with the Houthi rebels, and I don't think that Israel is done with Iran. We'll see how that goes, but imagine, if you try to compare something that we could identify with, this would be like when we were told that bin Laden had been killed. It's the same level of thing for the people of Israel. This was one of their major enemies, and a big win there for Israel, and essentially destroying the leadership of Hamas, which of course is the proxy operating with the support of Iran. As I said, I don't think they're done with Iran. I don't think they're done with Hezbollah. I don't think it's over, but I think they might be able to draw the operation in Gaza into conclusion. It is now 30 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to get cold tonight. I'm seeing blue behind all these meteorologist screens this morning and this afternoon. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. The White House sees the death of another top Hamas leader in Gaza as an opportunity to win the release of hostages and end the war, which the terrorists started in the first place. That is not stopping about 100 U.S. troops being deployed to Israel as part of an advanced anti-missile defense system in response to Iran's massive missile barrage just 2 weeks ago. This is Pentagon Major General Pat Ryder.
Troops have begun to arrive in Israel, and the components have begun to arrive in Israel. It's going to be fully operations capable in the near future.
And some surgeries and other elective procedures at the Nashville VA hospital are being canceled because the IV fluid shortage caused by Hurricane Helene damage. Other hospitals like Vanderbilt and St. Thomas tell Channel 4 they've big enough stockpiles to handle all their patients right now. President Biden using the Defense Recovery Act to speed up the process, but it's not sure how long the IV fluid shortage will last. Money News, Dave Packer.
The Dow adding to its all-time high, led by gains in tech stocks. The Dow adding 161 points. The Nasdaq inched up 7. The S&P dipped a point. NVIDIA and other chip makers led the way after Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company reported a bigger profit for the latest quarter than analysts expected. TSMC credited strong demand related to smartphones and artificial intelligence. Investors were also encouraged by the September retail sales report, showing growth compared to August's. Separately, the Labor Department reported a drop in weekly jobless claims. Google is replacing its longtime search and ads chief with executive Nick Fox. It's part of an overall restructuring amid the artificial intelligence race. Meta is laying off staff at WhatsApp and Instagram as part of a realignment. Netflix is reporting earnings after the bell with revenue at $9.8 billion, less than expected. The company says it added 5 million subscribers in the most recent quarter.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, looks like they've cleared the crashes on the interstates, but we do have a problem on Briley Parkway northbound in West Nashville right after I-40. A crash there blocking the left lane. Then Briley Parkway east of Nashville near the airport. As Briley Parkway southbound at Murfreesboro Pike, there is a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, if you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltzko are the two guys you need to talk to. Known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices, they can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That is the Stoltzko difference. And here's a question from the guys at Stoltzko. Do you have a piece of land and maybe you're not doing anything with it? Why don't you make an investment in that land and build something? Build a barn dominium. How about that? A place that you can live in, maybe when you retire or go through on weekends. A lot of people do that. Well, pole barns can be used for a lot of things. It can be a garage barn. It can be a tool barn. It can be an equestrian space. How about this? How about coming up with an event space that you can rent out to others, or a place where you can go and just sort of hang out on the weekends? Do me a favor, go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, and look at some of the things they've done for other people, and then you're going to get it. Then you're going to want to call, and here's the number, 615-622-5992. Learn more by going to the website, stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
The dual power of radio and digital advertising on Super Talk 99.7 WTN has always delivered for our local advertisers. Now's your chance to book your 2025 marketing campaign early for savings and incentives. Just reach out today to your local ad representative or go to 997wtn.com/epic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 38 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Here's a story that I find very concerning, and I bet you haven't heard anything about it. I bet you haven't heard one little bit about it. It sort of broke in a big way, even though this thing happened in December of 2023. And it must have been setting off alarm bells, you would imagine, in the U.S. military. It has only been reported to the public in a significant way over the last day or so. You ready? Ready? Here we go. U.S. military confirms a swarm of drones invaded airspace around an air base in Virginia last year. Now, two things are very troubling about this. Number one, that somebody could fly drones. I'm talking not one drone, but a swarm of drones over a high security Air Force base where we have our top of the line aircraft, the F-22, is stationed, is troubling. It's also troubling to me that this can happen within spitting distance of Washington, D.C. I mean, is there any area where things are more sensitive than that corridor around the nation's capital? And they were able to pull this off, and we're not exactly sure who it was. Even not now, we're still not sure who did this. You ready? Mysterious swarm of drones, writes the Epoch Times, flew in unrestricted airspace around a U.S. military base in Virginia over several nights. It happened not like one night, 2 nights, but several nights. December 2023, U.S. military officials confirmed this week. In an emailed statement, October 15th, U.S. Air Force spokesman Ann Stefanik confirmed multiple unmanned aerial systems, I can't ever say that word, commonly called a drone.
Nice recovery.
That's
Thank
a good
you.
job, brother.
Commonly known as a drone, began operating in airspace around Joint Base Langley Eustis on December 6, 2023. The military base experienced multiple additional drone incursions throughout December 2023. So for like several nights during the month of December, these drones would just show up, flying over restricted airspace at one of our most sensitive air installations in America. According to the reports, as many as a dozen drones were involved in the swarming incident around Joint Base Langley Eustis last year. The drones also operated around other U.S. military installations in Virginia, including the world's largest naval port, Naval Station Norfolk, and another installation serving as headquarters for the Elite SEAL Team 6. That's sensitive space, as sure. The drone incidents left the U.S. national security officials struggling to decide whether they could shoot down or jam the drones, according to the article. Now, none of the incursions appeared to exhibit hostile intent, but anything flying in our restricted airspace can pose a threat to flight safety, the statement from Joint Base Langley Eustis reads. The FAA was made aware of the incursions. To protect operational security, we do not discuss the impacts of the operation, but look, if you can fly with impunity over one of our most sensitive air bases, and what do drones largely do? Well, largely they're designed to take pictures of sensitive installations, sensitive aircraft. At the naval base, this is where we build our submarines, for goodness sake. This is one of the places where we build aircraft carriers and submarines, and our submarines are something that are among the most sensitive intelligence secrets that we like to protect in this country. We have such a huge lead on the rest of the world in making our submarines stealthy. Then basically they become a hole in the water you can't trace. And we're very good at it. And nobody else can touch us. The Russians can't touch us. The Chinese are way behind us in all of this. And other countries who have submarines, they would love to know something about the technology and how we build our submarines. So, that one, the F-22s, that's a big concern. The submarine, the aircraft carriers that we're building, this is a big deal. Ask whether surveillance activity constitutes a threat to U.S. military base. The spokesman for the Pentagon Sabrina Singh, said, "This is something that I know the department continues to analyze." Wall Street Journal article states the U.S. officials have yet to determine who was behind the drone activity around Langley Air Force Base. The article does, however, note the January arrest of a Chinese national named Feng Yun Shi after he crashed and abandoned a drone in a tree about 11 miles from the base. Now, that doesn't mean that this was the guy. I mean, if he hit a tree, he's not a very good drone flyer. But he abandoned it and ran. An affidavit in his case states he is a Chinese national who entered the United States on a student visa. The affidavit states that after he got his drone stuck in a tree on January 6th, he gave up on trying to retrieve it, abandoned it, and traveled to California. Investigators said they later recovered the drone and upon inspecting it found that it had photos from either Newport News Shipbuilding or the BAE Systems Shipbuilding in Norfolk, two Virginia shipyards producing new U.S. warships. Investigators found no specific link between Xi and the Chinese Communist regime. He pleaded guilty in July to 2 misdemeanor counts of unlawfully photographing a defense installation and was sentenced in October to 6 months in federal prison. So that maybe this was the guy. But with this guy, you're talking about one drone flying over our Air Force base, Joint Base Langley Eustis, they now call it. It was as many as 12 at a time, night after night, and they just didn't have any way to stop it. Now, does that concern you? It concerns me a great deal. I mean, everybody knows that I have a drone that's pretty sophisticated. I haven't flown it in a while, but I do have a drone. I used to do it a lot more than I do now. People now say, "Yeah, we're not surprised, Wilson, because you drone on and on and on." But no, I mean, I had one and I enjoyed it. It was a nice little hobby, and it's for photography, and I'm into photography in a big way. So, I mean, that was just sort of a natural experience. But I'm not out to spy on anybody. But knowing that these things are in America by the millions, there's millions of them in this country. Why wouldn't you, as a military operation, have a way to take care of them? Now, we have developed technology to take out drones. Some of them, you jam the radio signals. Some of them, lasers are used. But we do have some anti-drone technology. But why would you just stand by night after night after night and let them fly over your Air Force base? I mean, it should have set off big alarm bells. Not sure that it did. Well, look at there. There's a drone. Wonder what that drone's taking pictures of. Come on. Got your thumb. Never mind where you might have your thumb. Here's another version of the story from thehill.com. Pentagon confirms incursions of unauthorized drones over Air Force Base. It was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. Here's the Washington Times. Mystery drone swarm over Langley Base has Air Force scrambling for cover. Officials bid contract to block spying from the sky after the December 2023 incident. Oh, yeah. Well, now we need to come up with something. The Pentagon official said the base had been targeted by a swarm of uncrewed aircraft systems. The number of aerial incursions fluctuated on any given day. When asked why Langley officials didn't destroy or disable the drone swarms, Ms. Singh said military commanders have all the authority necessary to protect forces, facilities, and infrastructure. See, they weren't after the forces, they weren't after the facilities, they weren't after the infrastructure, they were after intelligence. And we work awful hard to develop these amazing military systems like the F-22, the most advanced aircraft in the world. It is an amazing aircraft. I once sat on a plane and struck up a conversation with a guy who was on the plane with me. I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Well, I'm in the military." I said, "What? Do you mind if I ask what part of the military?" He said, "I have the best job in the military. I fly F-22s." And he said, "I can't tell you anything classified, but I can tell you something that's unclassified because it's been reported on." He said, We went out to Las Vegas and flew against other type of aircraft, and we destroyed them, I think 100-1. They never even knew we were there, and we had already taken them out in their war games, not literally taking them out, but they have ways of testing how effective they would be if it was an attack. Said we won it hands down, and they never saw us. That's how good the F-22 is. The Russians have something similar, but it's not near as good as ours. The Chinese would love to have our technology in that regard. So, you got a bunch of drones flying over a sensitive military installation. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. As long as we're talking about national security issues, let's go back to this guy, Nasir Ahmad Tawhidi, who is accused in a terror plot. He wanted to shoot up some big gathering of people on Election Day. Remember that guy? Afghan national accused in terror plot was not vetted for his SIV status, special immigrant status. He didn't have a special immigrant visa, despite past Biden administration claims. They told a story about that guy, and now they're having to walk it back. Sources familiar with the investigation tell Fox News that Tawhidi was not well known to the U.S. government when the administration facilitated his departure to the States, despite his security role with the CIA in Afghanistan. Fox News has learned Tawhidi was employed as a local guard outside the base perimeter, and he would not have been among the most thoroughly vetted U.S. partners. This news upends claims officials made last week that Tawhidi was vetted 3 times. First to work for the CIA in Afghanistan, then to come to the U.S. on a Department of Homeland Security humanitarian parole during the withdrawal, and a 3rd time when he was approved for a special immigrant visa status arriving the U.S. Now officials acknowledge Tawhidi was never vetted or approved for special immigrant status, although a State Department process which can take years to complete. A thorough State Department process which can take years to complete. He never went through the vetting. They'll let anybody into this country. 50 minutes now past the hour. Have you heard about the item that Costco keeps running out of? We're talking about gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but it also means that it's outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. You know where you can get gold when Costco doesn't have any? From my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. They will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts. You can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Gold & Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. And remember, you'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold & Coin. Just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Now what? After the death of another Hamas leader in Gaza, Hurricane Helene recovery update. A tense standoff in East Tennessee where angry residents reportedly surrounded who they thought were FEMA workers. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And coming up in the next hour, some more 2024 news. Facebook is being caught again, throttling your information. If you're a conservative, they're throttling your information in your posts. We now have some pretty strong proof of that. Also, another exciting edition of the ever-popular Three Amigos. It's all straight ahead of the next hour, right here on Super Talk 99.7. King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood has been in business in this area for 25 years as an independent insurance agency. And I'll tell you, that is exactly what you want. And you say, well, Brian, why? That's pretty simple. If you do, insurance business with like one of those big box on the internet stores, they just give you whatever product they have. But if you go to an independent agency and you explain it what you're looking for, they can shop around. They can look at a bunch of different products and find that insurance policy that really fits your need like hand in a glove. And that means you're going to get more bang for your insurance dollar. You dial this number, 615-329-8121. You don't reach a call center. You get an actual person every single time. You're not going to be waiting for hours online to get some simple question answered. And they're known for their multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35% huge savings are possible. So why don't you get your royal review today with King & Associates Insurance? Just log in to tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates. You'll get royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Thursday afternoon. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Now that Israel has killed another Hamas leader in Gaza, Karen Travers says the White House sees an opportunity to free hostages and end the war, which the terrorists started in the first place.
The White House says in a readout of their phone call that President Biden congratulated Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the mission that killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. The president, upon his arrival in Germany, told reporters Sinwar had a lot of blood on his hands, American, Israeli, and others. He said now is the time to move on, to reach a ceasefire and end the war and bring the hostages home. The White House says the president and Netanyahu spoke about how to use this moment to make all of that happen.
Hurricane Helene recovery update. Some surgeries and other elective procedures at the Nashville VA hospital are being canceled because of the IV fluid shortage caused by Helene damage. Channel 4's Brandon Tierney reports.
Officials say they need to make sure there's enough to take care of people who are sick and have critical emergencies. So they're making decisions day by day about what they have enough supplies to handle. Patients like Fred Herring are being told to talk with their doctor about any concerns around the IV fluids.
You wouldn't expect that, and there's a lot of things going on in the world you wouldn't expect. Unfortunately, it's going on right now, and unfortunately, people are really, really sick and people need help.
Other hospitals in Nashville, including Vanderbilt and St. Thomas, say they still have big enough stockpiles to support all of their patients right now.
President Biden using the Defense Recovery Act to speed up the process, but it's not sure how long the IV fluids shortage will last. Jim Ryan says officials say false claims about the Federal Emergency Management Agency led to a tense standoff in East Tennessee.
A group called the International Alliance of Community Chaplains was distributing relief supplies in Carter County, Tennessee, when a group of angry people showed up.
They were armed,
says Alliance founder Tracy Elder.
They had surrounded them. There was a lady that was yelling at them and threatening them.
When the relief workers explained they were not with FEMA, the mob backed off, some members returning later with donations.
Good news about your kids' health. Brian Clark says the number of high school and middle school students using tobacco products fell to the lowest point in decades.
Health experts say the drop-off in youth tobacco use is a good thing, but there are still too many high school and middle school students using tobacco products. The National Youth Tobacco Survey found that 2.25 million students said they used a tobacco product within the past 30 days. That's down from 2.8 million a year ago. The most commonly used product, e-cigarettes, followed by nicotine pouches.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, getting off the loop around downtown right now, you've got a hurdle because of a stalled vehicle. This is going to be eastbound 24 on the east loop. The left shoulder is blocked right there at mile marker 47. Once you do get to 40 and 24 eastbound, there's really no speed up until after Bell Road. So you're looking at stop and go all the way down to Bell Road, just a lot of volume out there. And then seeing the same thing east and westbound 40 from 65 all the way over to the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now,
7 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock, hour number 3 now, kicking off here on The Drive on this 17th day of October. Still 61 degrees outside and abundant sunshine in the evening. Still have chance to see that comet tonight if the skies are clear.
And the
moon.
moon.
Well, the moon last night.
Yeah.
I mean, to tell you, it was bright. It was like sunrise out there.
Yes, it was.
It really something.
I haven't caught the comet yet.
Yeah, a little pro tip. You can see it better with your camera. You're on your phone than you can see it with your eye.
All right.
And this I did not know, but apparently it's sort of like the Aurora Borealis, when people took pictures of that.
Mm-hmm.
You would go out and you could see a little bit. When you turned on your camera, you could see it a lot better.
Yeah.
Your camera can see, light frequencies that your eye cannot. So you might want to try that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah, the comet. And I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, it's just a comet. I don't.
It's a comet. It's a rare thing. 80,000 years. Say it again.
Suchin-chan.
Wow.
All right. I'll go with that pronunciation. Suchin-chan. Let's all say it together because it's just fun to say. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Suchin-chan. All right. Good. Let's do another 2024 update. We got so much ground to cover here. And this is a little different. I'm not going to give you any numbers. I'm just going to give you this thought. We are accused on our side of fomenting hatred in a way that might cause protests and people to act up on Election Day or after Election Day. But I need you to stop and think about what the Democrats are doing as well, because this is really concerning. From The Federalist, a nice essay written by a guy named John Daniel Davidson that talks about how Kamala Harris and the Democrats are priming this country for violent resistance if Trump wins. And I really think they make a pretty fair point here. The purpose of constantly invoking the specter of a dictatorship under Trump is to condition Democrats to react violently if Harris loses. By now, it's commonplace to note that Kamala Harris often seems out of her depth, like she's unsure what to say about policy or how to explain her past positions, or why she hasn't already done the things she promised to do if elected, given that she's currently the vice president. But on one particular subject, she's been consistent and forceful throughout her campaign. She's adamant that Donald Trump will destroy America if he's reelected, and not destroy in the sense of enact bad policies, that he'll round up people with the military and put them in camps. She'll talk about this all the time now. At one point during her Wednesday evening interview with Bret Baier on Fox News, she became visibly upset after Baier played a clip of former President Donald Trump calling out the weaponization of government and the endless investigations and lawfare to which he has been subjected. The vice president, her voice rising in outrage, jabbed her finger at Baier and said, "You and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people, and that he's talked about going after people who are engaged in a peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him." I need to stop right here from this article and just tell you that their characterization of the things that he said are incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. He was asked a question about agitators. The people who cause riots. And there are people, this professional group of people, as we saw during the protest in our college campuses not long ago, and before that we've seen them in other places, and these people will go from place to place to place. They travel the country looking to foment chaos and to agitate angry people to do things in what start out as peaceful protests. We saw some of that right here in Nashville. Do you remember how they set the courthouse on fire? Started out as a peaceful protest, but there were agitators in the group, and they came in, and next thing you know, they're trying to burn down the courthouse and trying to burn down Lower Broad. So, yeah, there is a group of people out there, and that's what he was asked about by Maria Bartiromo. And when he's talking about, in that situation, like you saw the protest outside the White House when he was president. Yeah, there have been cases where presidents have used the military, the National Guard and the military to stop rebellion and riot. George H.W. Bush, well, he was a radical, wasn't he? He used them to shut down the violence associated with the Rodney King riots in L.A. So when she says that, she's not being truthful about the question he was asked and the answer that he gave. When he says the enemy within, he's talking about those radical anarchy, bent people, these anarchists. The vice president, her voice rising in outrage, jabbed her finger at Bear and said, that he's talked about turning the American people on the American military on the American people. He's talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. Well, if it's peaceful protest, it's not a problem. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. At a campaign rally in Pennsylvania this week, she told the crowd that former President Donald Trump considers anyone who doesn't support him to be an enemy of the United States. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them. Earlier in the week, an audio town hall of Charlemagne the God, Harris claimed, without a hint of irony, that if Trump is elected, he'll use the Department of Justice as a weapon against his political enemies. Who does that? Not Republicans. You know who does that? Dictators do that. No, that's what Democrats do. At one point during the show, she agreed with the caller who said that Trump will lock anyone who doesn't look white into camps. Oh, come on. Did he do that when he was president before? No. That's just a small sampling from this week, but there are many other recent examples. In the waning weeks of the presidential election, Harris has been deploying increasingly extreme rhetoric about Trump and the dangers he poses to the country. Even before Harris seized the Democrat nomination from the President Joe Biden, the idea that Trump is an existential threat to American democracy was the refrain of the Biden campaign. Harris has taken that theme and run with it. The purpose of it isn't just to scare voters into casting their ballots against the former president or to provoke some unstable would-be assassin into taking a shot at Trump. Its main purpose is to prime Democrat voters for violent resistance should Trump win in November. I hope I'm wrong about this, but I think they could be held accountable if that happens. Consider the lopsidedness of the rhetoric between the Trump and the Harris campaigns. Trump's often makes sweeping and mostly true statements about the deep state, about the border and illegal immigration, about crime, and about Harris and Democrats are destroying the country. But when he uses the phrase destroying the country, he's talking about things like crime, homelessness, drug addiction, rampant inflation, and the cost of groceries. These things, he says, are the result of policies Democrats have put in place. If you're looking for someone to blame, he says, blame Biden and Harris because of all these problems are their fault. But that's not what Harris and the Democrats are doing with their rhetoric. They're not making a case that crime and inflation will be worse under Trump because of his policies. Democrats aren't really interested in policy. What they're doing is pushing a narrative that Trump is going to be a fascist dictator. I use that word all the time. If he wins office and use the powers of the presidency to go after ordinary Americans. That's an extremely and frankly unhinged position with no basis in reality. You don't say things like that unless you're hoping to provoke a strong reaction, and the reaction Democrats are hoping to provoke is violent resistance to a second Trump term. This is in thefederalist.com, again, written by a guy named John Daniel Davidson. It is an opinion piece, but I think he points out something that is verifiably true, that they are using extremely harsh rhetoric and making claims. I mean, it's to me, I just shake my head in disbelief that they even try. But you know what? They wouldn't be trying if there wasn't an audience for this kind of thing. And it's fear-mongering, there's no doubt. She can't talk about the things that she wants to do in a positive way. She has to now, in this moment of where they feel like they're losing the thing, it's starting to slip away from them and they're panicked. Now they up the rhetoric so that people will be fearful. And I think this guy's exactly right. Prime the pump. They're priming the pump for a reaction should Trump win. Unbelievable. This thing that happened yesterday between Brett Baer and Kamala Harris, still everybody talking about it today. We took some calls and tried to get a sense of what you thought about it. My sense of it is people just sort of laughed about it. She really did not answer one question directly. Not one question did she answer directly. She pivoted and talked about the things she wanted to talk to, relied on all talking points. Nothing new came out of the thing. Brett Baer says they also played dirty just before the interview was recorded.
When the kicker in football, they call a timeout right before he's going to kick the field goal. They're icing the kicker. So we were supposed to start at 5 p.m. This was the time they gave us. Originally, we were going to do 25 or 30 minutes. They came in and said, well, maybe 20. So it was already getting whittled down. And then the vice president showed up about 5:15. We were pushing the envelope to be able to turn it around for the top of the 6 o'clock. So that's how it started. And I could tell when we started talking that she was going to be tough to redirect without me trying to interrupt. I did this with President Obama. At one point, I just said, Mr. President, I know you like the filibuster. I just didn't even have the chance to sometimes redirect in those ways. I had a lot of other questions.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He didn't get very far. They cut down the time. They showed up late. They were trying to mess with him. They were trying, as he said, ice the kicker. I think that's exactly a good terminology to describe what happened there. So unprofessional, really. That whole thing, I think probably, I'll tell you what, in a moment, I'm going to play a soundbite from a Democrat pollster with whom I find myself in complete agreement about what he thought about that interview and the state of the race. Right now, let's call it 20 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Get ready for Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. If you've dreamed of wearing a Rolex, you can't miss this special two-day event, October 25th and 26th. During the event, you can take advantage of special pricing and zero-interest financing on a stunning selection of luxurious pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Genesis has brought in hundreds and hundreds of amazing Rolex watches, all the hard-to-find models, including Submariners and Daytonas. All of Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are in pristine, like-new condition, some just out of the box, all priced to sell at this event. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's a $3,000 value. Also, if you currently own a Rolex, Genesis pre-owned Rolex buyers will be on site to help you trade in or sell your timepiece. You'll receive top dollar. So come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of special financing. Get a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. October 25th, 26th only, and only at Genesis Diamonds in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Another top terrorist leader dead in Gaza. So now what? And Nashvillians say they no longer feel safe after this week's murder on a particular greenway. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes now past the hour. So we were talking about this big interview yesterday, and how did it go over? I find myself largely in agreement with the things I heard from my old friend Doug Schoen. Now, Doug is I'll be honest, he's a Democrat pollster, but he's always been a guy who has shot straight about what he thinks about the situation. And he was talking to Laura Ingraham last night about it, and I said, man, that's exactly the way I look at it. Here is Doug Schoen.
Doug, my feeling on this is when people start finger pointing inside the party when you're 20 days out, that's never a good sign.
It's, in fact, Laura, you're absolutely right, a very bad sign. I'm picking up from my Democratic friends and sources precisely what you're reporting. The so-called blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania is eroding for the Democrats. There is a level of disorganization on the ground and incoherence vis-a-vis the messaging that is clear. And what I'm picking up is that the Harris campaign really doesn't have a closing message or strategy, as we, I think, saw in Bret Baier's interview with Kamala Harris today. There is not a clear sense as to what she's going to do different than Joe Biden, which, as you point out, close to 60% of America has made them feel worse off. She hasn't articulated a coherent plan, and it's frankly perfectly logical that she would say different times, different circumstances, different plan. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what Trump's doing. Vote for me. She hasn't done it, and I don't have a sense, Laura, she's going to do it.
Do you think this interview helped her at all, marginally, or not at all?
I don't think it helped at all. I think she felt she'd reach some swing voters, but to me, the absence of clear answers, the real sense of, confusion to perfectly logical questions that Brett asked, to me, suggests that it underscored all the issues and concerns the few undecided swing voters have. Don't think it helped a bit, and it may well hurt her.
Very quickly, I want to hit this little soundbite. If you are among those who go on Facebook and lay down a political rant, guess what? If it's a conservative political rant, pretty good chance you're being shadow banned. We know that because James O'Keefe has conducted another one of those undercover investigations where he gets some pretty frank admissions from a Facebook senior software engineer.
Say your uncle in Ohio said something about Kamala Harris is isn't unfit to be a president because he doesn't have a child. Okay. That kind of is automatically demoted.
Meet Jeevan Gowali, a senior software engineer at Meta.
Are they doing a good job protecting our democracy? Because I can see these right-wing groups setting up Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts for that matter, right? And just start posting disinformation, be like, Harris is blah, blah, blah.
That's all going to be demoted 100%. The civic classifier is strong.
The senior software engineer also goes on to say that, quote, the person would not be notified, unquote, if they were demoted because of their anti-Kamala Harris post on Meta, and red-listed, that's a new term we just learned, red-listed, meaning, according to Collins Dictionary, things that are not permitted.
Would the person who posted that would he be notified that?
The person would not be notified, but there's these things that what you collect is if a bunch of items that if at least a couple of items that a person has created has violated civic classifier, then they're also red listed.
Our OMG American Swiper asked Jeevan if Meta was shadow banning users for their anti-Kamala Harris posts. Take a look at what he says.
So is that called shadow banning?
Shadow banning, yeah.
Okay, so they will be shadow banned.
Correct.
They will never be shown. But so they will see a dip in impressions and engagement, but they would not be officially warned of the reason why.
Correct.
We asked Gowali if Meta has the ability to affect the upcoming 2024 election, to which he responded, yes, Meta does. Jeevan also confirmed that Mark Zuckerberg intends to help the Democrats in this election cycle.
You guys have the ability to influence the outcome of the election.
Yes.
Do you think Zuckerberg agrees? Good. Is he going to help the Democrats?
Yeah.
How about that? I mean, I notice it on stuff that if I pay something about my bulldog, I get hundreds of hits, hundreds of reactions, a lot of comments. If I put anything that's political out there, I get, maybe 2 or 3, 4, 5, maybe a top of 10 reactions. I mean, I believe it. I believe that they're shooting straight with us when they say that they are shadow banning conservative thought on Facebook. 30 minutes now past the hour. Straight ahead, we'll have the three Amigos. Right now, it's time for the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Thursday afternoon. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The White House says the death of the top leader of Hamas in Gaza is an opportunity to bring hostages back and end the war. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The State Department spokesman says the late Hamas leader leaves behind a blood-soaked legacy.
He didn't just launch this conflict, but for the past year has refused the efforts of the United States and our partners to end it.
Matthew Miller says Yahya Sinwar was an obstacle to a ceasefire.
That obstacle has obviously been removed.
Miller says his death offers both sides a chance to restart talks on a hostage release and an end to the war.
We want to seize that opportunity.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it has settled a score, but the war has not yet ended, but he is optimistic moving forward. Here in Nashville, Metro Parks looking for ways to improve safety in light of the murder Monday evening on the Mill Creek Greenway. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley reports the murder of Alyssa Lockett has people reconsidering a place they once considered peaceful and quiet.
Lynn Nelson loves to run here alone. Well, she loved to. Since the murder of Alyssa, she says she won't be doing that again. Today, she's back out on the trail for the first time, walking with her husband. She only feels safe right now in pairs. At this point, she's not sure that Metro Parks can do anything in particular to heighten security.
Part of what's so attractive about this is that it's quiet and it's not, overrun by lights and cameras and whatever else. But I don't know what the answer is to that as far as making it feel safer.
Before the attack, she said she never felt unsafe and would often see police riding on bikes in the area and cameras.
Metro Sports Authority Board got an update on the new Titan Stadium construction today. News 2 says members were impressed with how the field, concrete foundation, and plumbing are coming along.
We think construction is going well. There's a lot of work. If you've been by recently, you've seen how much has come up out of the ground, and so that's exciting to move into that phase of construction.
The outline of the seating bowl taking shape. Primary construction begins next year. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the usual slowdowns trying to get off the downtown loop, and then looking north of Nashville here, we see 65 northbound. Got a crash right after Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
One of the questions I get a lot from our listeners is, how can I get in the conservative fight? Well, it's critical to know where your dollars are going. Most credit cards are funneling millions to the left, but now you have a choice. Coin is America's conservative credit card. You earn cash back while fighting the liberal agenda. Apply now at coin.com. Now, I want to make sure you know how that's spelled. It's COIGN, coin.com. Terms apply. I have one in my pocket. You get one in yours. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
There it is. There's the festive music that indicates it's time for the fun and frivolity to begin. That's right. It's the three Amigos. Amigo number one, down in the newsroom, it's Ken Weaver. Hello, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
No, good afternoon. It would be good afternoon. Put another $1 in the jar.
I'll get it one of these days.
Or not.
It is so hard to break that habit.
I think you should just say morning intentionally.
I think I'm just going to keep doing it, man.
Yeah.
Just everybody knows.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
not the old guy everybody just ignores.
No, we would never ignore you. They're pushing the blinky buttons is Chris Weber. He's Amigo number 2.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I am your friend and radio buddy. Together we make up the three Amigos. You never know what's going to happen. The idea is we start off with some oddball stories, and then sometimes we get lost along the way. Sometimes we get through all three stories. Sometimes we don't.
Yeah. That's what happens when you eat the trail of breadcrumbs that you leave behind.
That's right. Well, I've got one. Can I start today? I think this is an interesting story.
I think, brother.
A rare copy of the U.S. Constitution printed 237 years ago, sent to the states to be ratified, is being auctioned tonight in North Carolina. Brunk Auctions is selling the copy, the only of its type thought to be in private hands. The minimum bid starts at $1 million, and it's already been made at $1 million. Somebody's already put down $1 million. Wow. This was printed after the Constitutional Convention drafted the proposed framework of the nation's government in 1787 and sent it to the Congress of the ineffective First Amendment government under the Articles of Confederation, requesting that they be sent to the states to be ratified by the people. It's about one of 100 copies printed by the Secretary of the Congress, Charles Thompson. Just 8 are known to still exist, and the other 7 are publicly owned. This would be the only one that would be available to be purchased.
Wow.
You can imagine that? It's a little unclear what happened to it, but listen to the story. The copy was found inside a 2-drawer metal filing cabinet in a North Carolina property once owned by a former governor, Samuel Johnson. It was in a 2-drawer metal filing cabinet. On the top of it was a can of stain in a long neglected room piled high with old chairs and dusty bookcases. They were about ready to redo a revamping of the house and preserve it. The document was a broadsheet that could be folded one time like a book. Along with the Constitution of the broadsheet printed is a letter from George Washington asking for ratification. He acknowledged that there would have to be a compromise and that the rights the states enjoyed will have to be given up for the nation's long-term health. The last time they sold one of these things, well, they sold one in 1891, and somebody paid the outrageous sum of $400 for it.
Wow, that was a lot of money.
At the time, it was a lot of money.
Yes, it was.
The last one to be sold...
And it wasn't even that old then.
No. Sotheby's of New York sold one of the only 14 remaining copies of the Constitution printed for the Continental Congress and delegates to the Constitutional Convention for $43.2 million.
Ooh, wow.
That was a record for a book or a document. Wow.
So they found a thing of stain on top of the document?
Yeah, apparently it's in an old dusty room. It had a bunch of chairs and bookcases shoved in there, and there was this two-level filing cabinet, and somebody had an old can of stain, like you would stain furniture with, just sitting on the top of there. I mean, if that had leaked, oh my gosh, you know? Oh,
isn't that how it happens? So, like you see it with artwork. Sometimes it'll be there'll be this priceless work that's behind some other Yahoo's painting. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, or you find out that somebody had it and they hated that paint. And the last story we had was what was it? A Picasso.
Picasso. Yeah.
Somebody said, I hated that painting. I made him take it down.
Yes.
Yep.
And it turned out to be worth millions.
We've got a copy of the Declaration of Independence over here on the wall, pinned up with thumbtacks. I wonder if that's worth any money.
I doubt it.
Might be an original copy. You never know.
Who knows? It could be.
Well, President Washington was probably known to use thumbtacks.
Yep. Well, anyway, one way or the other, wouldn't you love to see this thing end up someplace where we could all see it? But people want to have these in their private collection. If you're a billionaire, right, or you're a millionaire, even a millionaire, you care deeply about this country and the history of this country. What a document to have in your own personal collection.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Well, that's mine. That's what I brought.
What you got, Brother Chris?
All right. This story sounds like something that would be one of those Florida Man stories.
All right.
But it's actually coming from a city north of Hong Kong, China. Fellow was out having a good time with his buddies one night at the local pub. Maybe he had a few too many. The group of friends were walking home, apparently, and they come across a 6.5-foot-long python.
Oh, boy.
It's just laying there out in the street. So, feeling emboldened, this, we'll call it China Man instead of Florida Man. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that.
That sounds wrong,
a little insensitive. But anyway, this fella, he got a little too inebriated and decided that he was going to tease this python in front of his buddies. However, the reptile got the better of him and held him in his death grip, forcing friends to call the fire department. So firefighters arrive on scene, and luckily, before the snake squeezed this guy to death, they had to use catch poles to grab a hold to the snake and then force it to loosen its grip. And there's actually video footage. I don't know if it was one of his friends. Probably one of his buddies that said, I got to film this.
Get your camera out. Don't miss this.
Shows the guy wriggling around, trying to get away as the snake coils around him and squeezes tighter and tighter. Luckily, the firefighters were able to get him off, the snake off the guy, and then stuffed him in a sack, as you do, I guess, with snakes. And according to reports, the man was so inebriated that he was unable to communicate how he ended up with the snake around him. He then refused to be taken to a hospital to be examined and left the scene with the company of his buddies. Hopefully, they avoided any further snakes.
Yeah.
For everyone that's wondering, the snake that was captured was then taken to a secluded spot and released the following day.
Yeah, you know how that works is they wrap yourself around you, and then every time you take a breath or exhale, it squeezes.
That's right.
It squeezes until you can't breathe anymore.
That's right.
And then you die.
And this one was only 6.5 feet long. This was not a big python by any stretch of the imagination.
Probably not a big guy either.
Probably not. Yeah.
So,
he didn't look like it.
Couldn't one of his friends grab the snake's head and punched its eyes out or something?
At least try to help him some kind of way. Grab, pull or whatever, but I guess they were too busy videoing.
Maybe he was saying, it's all right, boys, I got him.
Here, hold my beer. Oh, man.
Wrestling a snake.
Picked a fight with a python and lost.
Dude's lucky.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of pythons down in Florida.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
They're not indigenous, of course, but they're releasing. They every once in a while they'll have a big python hunt down there.
About every year.
Yeah, I think it was back in August.
It's down in Lake Okeechobee and then down in the swamps and all of that. They'll go down there and they'll bring out, and they find some big ones that were one time people's pets, and then they just got released and then they started breeding and now it's a real problem because they're just decimating the local animal population. There's not there's a lot of places where the pythons have eaten everything there is there, and I happened to know for a while the guy who was in charge of the what do you call it, Parks and Wildlife, or the wildlife people down in Florida.
Yeah,
and I said, look, I want to get me some boots made out of a Florida python. And he said, do you know anybody who does this? Oh, yeah, we know guys that do that. He said they'll sell them the skin and they'll turn them into boots. I said, okay, get me in touch with one of those guys. He sent me the name and I called him and talked to him. He wanted thousands of dollars for these boots. And it was then I decided I didn't really need a pair of python boots that badly.
Not that bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got. Ken?
Well, here we go, boys. You ready to win $1 million?
$1 million?
$1 million.
$1 million. Yeah, I'm ready.
So Lay's Potato Chips is accepting new chip flavor ideas.
Ooh.
They've reintroduced their Do Us a Flavor contest, in which chip fans can submit their own ideas for a new flavor with the chance to win $1 million and actually see your creation on store shelves.
That would be cool.
All right, so you have until February to submit your idea. By the way, the runner-up gets $50,000.
Wow.
Hey.
And then let's see. So you actually either get $1 million or $50,000. I'd be happy with $50,000. Lay's is re-releasing previous winners, which includes chicken and waffles flavored chips, cheesy garlic bread, Southern biscuits and gravy.
Ooh. Oh, man.
I have yet to find that on the shelves.
I got to look for that.
Yeah.
Fried green tomato and crispy taco.
I've had those. Those are pretty good.
Are they good?
Yeah. Not bad.
We have some in our cabinet that the Cabana wife found, and she's just crazy about them, and I've been eating them and think, me and the Bulldog, we like them a lot.
Well, here's what I'm
hold it. It's called Pickle Ranch.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, that does sound
might be good, yeah.
Well, it's sort of like salty pickle and ranch flavor mixed together. Pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah, Grogu likes them.
Well, here's what I'm going to submit.
Okay.
All right.
Of course, it's going to be hot chicken.
Yeah.
Bacon cheeseburger. Sriracha. Jalapeno cheese. Steak. There needs to be a steak-flavored potato chip.
Steak-flavored.
Italian sausage. Teriyaki.
These are all your ideas?
Yeah. Giblet gravy.
How many are you going to submit?
You can submit 10, they say.
Wow.
Yeah, over this period of time to February. Giblet gravy, just as a lark. Fried catfish, and then my last one was dill pickle, but I can't do that because they've already got the pickle with the ranch.
With the ranch.
Yeah. Well, and they got the regular dill pickle as well.
Yeah.
And they have a flamin' hot dill pickle.
Ooh. See, I've got to look closer next time we go grocery shopping and look at some of these.
I'm just looking at the website where you go to submit your flavors, and they have a list of the past winners. And then, I don't know, I guess these are flavors that Lay's came up with, and there's a ton of them. So essentially, you can't duplicate something that they've done in the past.
Right.
There's some weird flavors. I mean, just very strange stuff that I don't know that I ever saw before. Salted caramel.
Oh, no, but salted caramel, that's a sweet. Some people like the sweet and salty.
Yeah, it might be good.
Thing together.
Yeah.
Ooh, deep dish pizza. That might be good.
Now, that's thoughtful. That has some possibility.
IHOP Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. Yeah, we've just
I do not know what that is.
gone off the rails with that.
No, that's a special you get at IHOP. The IHOP Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity is a
They're
it's a pancake.
right?
Yeah.
So don't do that one. That's been done.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a chance to win $1 million, fellas.
Hot chicken. I think hot chicken could be it.
Yeah.
I think that one's been done though.
Really?
Has it?
I think it has. Yeah. Let me see. Yep. Nashville hot chicken has been done,
Well, there you go.
as well as New England lobster roll.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Too late.
Already taken.
Chicken fried steak.
Anyway, you can submit your entries to dousaflavor.com.
All right. All right. And on that note, we'll call it 50 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Hey, have you noticed how unreliable things can be? Like when someone tells you, hey, that thing you need at 4, it'll be ready at 4, and then you find out it's not there. Yeah, people don't like that kind of stuff. And if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to Eurofix. Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's supposed to be ready, so you don't have to stand around and wait. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that is a lot of money. Why would you want to pay for that? At Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead as loaner cars are very, very popular. If you're tired of unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to where it is reliable. Eurofix, family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Grace Point Healthcare provides affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. Best known for their basic smart care plans, which start at just $69 a month. It includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for a full year. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there are no long wait times in the waiting rooms. And Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. Fall allergy season is here. Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point is a military vet-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Thursday evening. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Another Hamas leader in Gaza is dead. Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder reaffirming U.S. support for Israeli defense and said Yahya Sinwar's death leaves Hamas unable to conduct more attacks on Israel, similar to the one that started the war.
Hamas has been incredibly degraded, as evidenced by the killing of their leader, significant number of their forces, and certainly do not resemble anything close to what they were on October 7, or the ability to conduct the kinds of operations we saw them.
President Biden says Sinwar's death gives the opportunity for a, quote, day in Gaza without Hamas in power, saying he was getting in the way of achieving a political settlement between the Israelis and Palestinians. Here in Tennessee, since a Memphis mother died, there has been pressure from state leaders to get a faster turnaround on processing rape kits. The TBI says they have dramatically cut down on that time. Here's Channel 4's Marissa Sulek.
Part of the reason the TBI says they cut the turnaround time by a third is due to outsourcing. The TBI says they sent about 1,100 kits to a lab in Florida and hired about 50 new forensic scientists. The rape kit backlog was uncovered when Memphis mom Eliza Fletcher was murdered on a run in 2022. But her accused killer, Cleotha Apston Henderson, was never charged in a rape case in 2021 because of the delay. We spoke with the Sexual Assault Center today about what these new numbers mean to victims.
Those types of steps make it where the survivors of sexual assault feel like the state is taking them more seriously.
News 2 says the Metro Sports Authority was impressed after today's update on the new Titan Stadium. It showcased the field, concrete foundation and plumbing, and the outline of the seating bowl taking shape. The hope is that Nashville can host Super Bowls and other major events after what NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said in Nashville during league meetings in the spring.
And it was great to see the stadium and what they envisioned. We've seen plans before, but you see it come to life a little bit more. I think the stadium is going to be amazing. We know the passion of the fans here. We experienced the draft here. And I think a Super Bowl here would be very successful, but we'll get to that once we get a little further down the line with the stadium.
Primary construction starts next year. And good news about your kids. The number of American high school and middle school students who smoke cigarettes reached the lowest number on record, according to the National Youth Tobacco Survey.
Tobacco use among high school and middle school students reached a 25-year low this year, 2.25 million. So they used a product within the past 30 days, down from 2.8 million last year. The most commonly used tobacco product remained e-cigarettes. Nearly 6% of youth who use tobacco said it was e-cigarettes. Second most were nicotine pouches.
That's Brian Clark. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. It is getting better, getting out of the loop around downtown on your way home. However, once you do, you're going to run into a few obstacles. Looking north here, we've got some debris that is blocking part of 65 there as you're getting off to go to Goodlettsville or to Hendersonville. And then south in Rutherford County, looks like we've got a crash in the westbound lanes of 24 in Smyrna. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Brian Wilson in the chair for one more hour while we crank out the news and information you can use. And Brian, I promise you, this next story that I'm about to share with you may be information that you could really use someday. I mean, you're gonna walk away here in this next segment with knowledge that can really help you in an emergency. You know, we talk so much about what's going on in eastern Tennessee and North Carolina. And I have a little window into this because I have been in situations where you go into disaster zones as a reporter and you've got to live like people there on the ground are living. Except that, you know, they may have had their house destroyed. You know, you're lucky if you can find a place to be. And one of the things I learned is when the water isn't flowing, there's a whole problem that you haven't thought about. And that is, how do you flush the toilet? I mean, you know what? If you go a couple of days without able to flush the toilet because you don't have any flowing water. I mean, electricity's out. Maybe the water plant has been compromised. That's happened in a lot of places in North Carolina and East Tennessee. And they're working through the issues, and they're trying to get them back up, but there's still, like in North Carolina, there's still 100, even now, it's still 100,000 people who don't have running water. And they're having to go, you know, to get drinking water, but then, you know, you need water to flush the toilet, and you don't have any. You know, it's a real problem. So this story was written by the Associated Press. And there's real knowledge in this story. Something you need to think about. Because you know what? I tell you what, I say this, we knock on Formica here because I'm telling you, if this storm had come a little bit more to the left, that heavy rain would have been in our area. It would have been right here in Middle Tennessee instead of over in Eastern Tennessee. We missed it by about that much. We're very fortunate. Right now we're doing, by the way, if you don't know, they're suggesting that people do planning for earthquakes in our area. There's a whole big earthquake, sort of drill that they're doing. Because, you know, we could be hit by a big earthquake here. We have a fault that could go. And I think, Ken, do you know? I think it's called the New Madrid Fault. Isn't that it?
Yep.
Yeah, the New Madrid Fault. And it's not right here in Middle Tennessee, but the impact of a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault would be huge. Huge. So, you know, really, you need to think about these things. Let me read this story, though. Fascinating. I consider myself, you know, pretty, capable of handling myself in a bad situation because I have, but I hadn't, you know, usually the thing is the news people, they leave 2 or 3 days after the event and they don't go back. Asheville, North Carolina, Associated Press. Takes water to flush a toilet, and tens of thousands of North Carolinians have been without it since Hurricane Helene ripped through the state 3 weeks ago. When Lark Frazier went around asking her Asheville neighbors how they were doing as far as water to flush, several burst into tears over the stress of where to go to the bathroom and what to do with the waste. Some people told her they were eating less to avoid going. Others said they were dumping poop in the yard and covering it with leaves. An elderly woman mentioned planning to scoop it out of the toilet with her hands. And not only is that horrifying and inhumane, but it's dangerous for her to be handling waste in that manner. Since Helene swallowed mountain towns, damaged water infrastructure, and killed nearly 250 people across the Southeast, local governments have been overwhelmed, and that spurred community organizations and innovation. Frazier is one of the newly minted leaders to have stepped up. She grew up in rural Colorado, using an outhouse for years before the family got a flush toilet. She drew on that experience when it came to cross the Emergency Toilet Guidebook online, published by the Regional Disaster Preparedness Organization in Oregon. So she began fashioning rudimentary toilets and training others how to do it. The concept is simple. Line a sturdy bucket with a thick plastic bag. Cover the top with a toilet seat, or maybe get one of those water-resistant foam noodles, pool noodles, for comfort. Then drop in a handful of wood chips or other dry material after every use to absorb liquid and reduce odor. Liquid waste, if you have to tinkle, it should be separate. Not having waste treated appropriately can absolutely lead to a major public health crisis, said Sue Monkern, who developed the guidebook. And mishandling fecal matter can lead to cholera, dysentery, other serious, even fatal diseases. Monkern recommends everybody living in a disaster-prone area have an emergency toilet ready. Neither the city nor the country have released official guidelines on how to manage human waste without water to flush. Frazier called that lack of guidance astounding. County spokesperson Lillian Govis said no county could give sufficient attention to every important issue in a disaster of this scale. So Councilwoman Kim Roney has released a video explaining how to use an emergency toilet. The city set up the first water refill sites about a week after Helene, when some 136,000 people across the Southeast had non-operational water providers, according to the EPA. Around 100,000 in the Asheville area, turning the page. In the Asheville area, although the city says the number has been reduced significantly in the past week, still thousands lack water, and it's unclear when it'll be back on. Those who can't get these refill sites are getting missed, and here again, volunteers fill the gap. You need water. I mean, I saw on TV somebody being interviewed on one of the cable channels, and they were saying the thing that they still need is bottled water. They don't have enough bottled water. Hard to believe, but that's true. Molly Black and Ellie DeBrule, strangers before the storm, now coordinate an army of neighbors from dawn to dusk to get flush water to people. From Florida to Ohio to Texas, people have donated cube-shaped 250-gallon white plastic containers known as IBC totes that are often used on farms. In the chemical industry and disasters, a single tote can carry nearly a 6-foot, nearly a 6-foot pickup bed. Black and DeBrule have organized people to haul the totes to ponds, fill them up using pumps, take them where they're needed, like apartment buildings and other neighbors, and pick up the work from there, taking buckets of this not necessarily drinkable water, but water into residents' need. You have to fill the bowl of your toilet so it can then flush. I mean, it'll go down the sewer if you can fill up the bowl, but where do you get the water? I mean, at my house, I got a swimming pool. I'd be using that water, right? Until that sucker went dry, I'd be using that water. But what if you don't have a swimming pool? What if you don't have a pump? What if you don't have a well? What if you don't have electricity? What if the water is not flowing? What do you do? Have you thought about this? Listen, I am not a prepper in the classic word. I mean, I don't have a bomb shelter. But, I mean, really, honestly, this whole disaster in East Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida should be a fresh reminder that, you know, when it really, if you'll excuse the term, when it really hits the fan, your government is not going to be able to meet all your needs. You're going to have to fend for yourself. To some degree, you'll have to fend for yourself. It's not a pleasant thing. I remember years ago when I went to Mobile for the very first time. There had been a hurricane a few years before I got there, and they were still that event was still very fresh in their minds. I mean, the city was hit hard, and you know what was the most important commodity? Ice. If you have medicines that need to be kept cool, if you have baby formula that needs to be kept cool, if you need to be kept cool, you know what? A bag of ice is a godsend. And they would find so the city came up with that idea. They went to I got an ice plant up and running, and they were cranking as much ice as they possibly could. They'd put it on trucks and they'd go around into neighborhoods and try to distribute it. And there would be, in some community, in some neighborhoods, ice riots over ice. Water, man, you got to have water. And, you know, the city will get there eventually, and the county will get there, and the federal government, you know, may or may not show up, who knows. But, and you know, the charity organizations will come through, but, I mean, you're going to have to depend on yourself for a while. And you know what? You just need to think about it. Think about the things you're going to need. I'll tell you what I did just the other day. Sort of, you know, I've had a small Honda generator that was part of my camping trailer. And it had been sitting for a long time. I'm sure the gas in it was dead. You know, if I'd have tried to start it up, it would have clogged the carburetor. Wouldn't have worked. So I went through this past weekend just because I was thinking about these kind of things and got that generator to where it would start with fresh gas. And I'm glad that I did. And I'm, you know, now every so often I'll go out there and I'll start the thing and let it run and continue to put fresh gas in it so I don't get in that bind again. It's one of the things you've got to think about. But you know, what would you do if you found that you had no running water for 3 weeks now? 3 weeks without running water. You couldn't take a shower. You couldn't take a bath. You can't go to the sink and pull up some cool drinking water. You can't flush your toilets. And on top of all that, some people have no running water and no electricity. So just a thought. I told you would learn something in this particular segment. I mean, it's a little gross to talk about. But believe me, having been in a situation where there was no flowing water, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan to be able to flush your toilets or to somehow take care of these fundamental basic needs that every human being has. You know what? Some time thinking about it, planning for it, or just maybe tucking away this information in the back of your mind so that if it ever you need, you'll remember. Oh, I remember that thing that Wilson read to me. You'll come out a lot better off if you just, you know, start thinking a little bit about what you would do in those worst of moments when government just can't help you anymore. 20 minutes now past the hour.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
A late ruling by a 3-judge panel impacting abortions in Tennessee. Coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. Hope you're having a good evening on this October 17th. This is the time of day where if you go out and look in the western sky, out of the blue of the western sky, it's a comet. And can you tell me the name of it again, please? Ken, the name of the comet again?
Oh, he must not be listening.
He's not listening. He's looking at me, but he's not listening. Yeah.
Well, I can't even. I can't even begin to. I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't do it. But anyway, there's a comet out there with a tail as big as a kite. From the old song. Yeah, no, go out there and take a look in the western sky about now, and you say, well, I don't see a comet. Well, then turn on your phone camera and take a look at it.
Yeah.
And you should be able to see the tail.
Might not quite be dark enough yet.
They say
getting close, though.
Right after sunset, so give it a few minutes.
I can kind of see. I think this is kind of west that I'm looking out the window here.
Yeah.
Kind of southwest, I think, but I don't see anything out my window. But
well,
I got some buildings in the way too.
You got buildings in the way, and in fact, I don't know how you can see anything through that window.
I've got like a sliver of about 5 inches between monitor and cabinet where I can see out the window.
When's the last time you think they came by and washed that window?
Never.
Never?
No.
Never?
Never.
The Hamas leader, Yahya Sinwar, a little detailed in the New York Post, about how they found him. An Israeli drone captured Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar's last minutes alive as the October 7th mastermind swung a piece of wood in a futile attempt to take out the drone before he was killed. Video shows the moment a drone is deployed to check a building in Rafah that a group of IDF soldiers hit on Thursday. An injured Sinwar, who had his face covered, could be seen sitting alone on a couch in the destroyed building, with the IDF soldiers unaware that they were seeing the man they've been hunting since he ordered the October 7th, 2023 terrorist attack. So he's taking a piece of wood and trying to swat the drone before he's swatted. So that's the end of Yahya Sinwar. Here's a story for you. Kamala Harris has apparently committed plagiarism in a big way. You don't hear much about this story. A plagiarism consultant used by the New York Times to examine multiple questionable passages of Vice President Kamala Harris's 2009 book said that further scrutiny revealed that the surface cases were more serious than he originally thought. One day after telling the Times the passages from Harris' book, Smart on Crime, were relatively minor as far as plagiarism go, Jonathan Bailey took it to his own website after a complete analysis to say that Harris did indeed plagiarize multiple passages. Renowned plagiarism hunter Stefan Weber found multiple passages in Harris's book that closely resembled or were taken word for word from other sources without attribution. Conservative activist Christopher Rufo independently verified and then published the passages in question, leading the Times to call on Bailey for his reaction. Bailey said he gave the Times his analysis prior to performing a full analysis of the 40-page complete dossier assembled by Weber. With this new information, while I believe the case is more serious than I commented to the New York Times, the overarching points remain. While there are problems with this work, the pattern points to sloppy writing habits, not a malicious intent to defraud. It is problematic, yes, but it is also not the wholesale fraud that many have claimed it to be. It sits somewhere between what the two sides want it to be, it says. The most serious allegations concern Wikipedia. Harris's book contained only roughly 2 paragraphs copied directly from Wikipedia without citation. To be clear, that is plagiarism. In the end, however, Bailey chalked up Harris's plagiarism to negligence and sloppy work writing as opposed to malice. You know what? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. if you are in college and you write a paper and you find out later that, it was plagiarism, or nowadays the concern is that you used AI to write your paper, you are kicked out of college. Joe Biden ran for office one time before he ran for president years ago, many years ago. He's run several times. And he ran, and I remember the story that he quoted Neil Kinnock, a British politician, at length without attribution, as if the words were his own, in speech after speech after speech. And the plagiarism scandal was was taken so seriously then that he had to bow out of the race. It was a deeply, deeply embarrassing moment for Joe Biden. So when you have plagiarism, it's not something to take lightly, and especially if you've written a book and you claim that the information is your intellectual property, but you robbed it from other people. Plagiarism is plagiarism, and it's serious. 30 minutes now past the hour of 6.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now we got some news involving a lawsuit over the state's abortion ban. The Tennessean says a 3-judge panel is blocking the state from disciplining doctors who perform medically necessary abortions. Doctors and patients filed a lawsuit arguing that the medical exception to Tennessee's near-total abortion ban is too vague. Well, the judges wrote that the plaintiffs have clearly shown a likelihood that their constitutional rights are being or will be violated. This ruling covers 4 conditions which women could face and will stay in effect until the lawsuit is resolved. Could become permanent depending on how the judges rule. This 3-judge panel is made up of Nashville Chancellor Patricia Head Muskai, 10th Judicial District Judge Sandra Donaghy, and 25th Judicial District Chancellor Casey Colbreth. The White House sees the death of another top Hamas leader in Gaza as an opportunity to win the release of hostages and end the war which the terrorists started in the first place. This is not stopping about 100 U.S. troops from being deployed to Israel as part of an advanced anti-missile defense system in response to Iran's massive missile barrage just 2 weeks ago. Pentagon Major General Pat Ryder.
Troops have begun to arrive in Israel, and the components have begun to arrive in Israel. It's going to be fully operations capable in the near future.
Some surgeries and other elective procedures at the Nashville VA hospital are being canceled because of the IV fluid shortage caused by Hurricane Helene damage. Other hospitals like Vanderbilt and St. Thomas say they have big enough stockpiles to handle all of their patients right now. President Biden using the Defense Recovery Act to speed up the process, but it's not sure how long the IV fluid shortage will last. Dave Packer with the Money News.
The Dow adding to its all-time high, led by gains in tech stocks. The Dow adding 161 points. The Nasdaq inched up 7. The S&P dipped a point.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual slowdowns, we have some hurdles once you get out of the downtown area. Looks like we have a multi-vehicle crash. This is affecting 65 northbound, just past that 24 split. And then further north from there, you've got 65 partially blocked by some debris as you get up there to Goodlettsville and Hendersonville. And it looks like they just cleared that crash westbound 24 there in Smyrna. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa. Let the team there help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Just call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation. You're going to come in contact with my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you like you're part of the family. Be part of the more than 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Gain your confidence back. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. Customized treatment plans are made for you and you alone. Restoration Wellness will consider your unique needs, lifestyle, and goals. So if your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. I can tell you it's worked for me. Newest technology in weight loss management. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com. It is 38 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. About another 22 minutes or so before we hand it off to the Mark Levin show. The great one. Maybe if I make it, I don't know. That was pretty weak, wasn't it?
Going downhill fast.
Yeah, well, I tell you, at the end of the show, I will admit, sometimes when you've had a lot of stuff that you've been trying to cover, your brain sort of turns to mush toward the end of 4 hours. So you'll apologize. I apologize and hope that you'll forgive me. Comer, his name is James Comer. He's the House Oversight Committee chairman, a Republican from Kentucky. He's come out with a report that levels some pretty serious allegations against the Biden administration, says that it is rampant with waste, fraud, and abuse. So let's go through some of this. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer revealed his committee's oversight work of the Biden-Harris administration, telling Fox News Digital that Americans cannot afford another term of incompetence. Vice President Kamala Harris has been an active participant in the worst administration in the history of the United States that has inflicted untold harm on the American people. Comer compiled a 72-page report with the committee's 118th Congress accomplishments, highlighting the committee's work, including its investigation of the Biden family's domestic and international business dealings, oversight of the Biden-Harris administration's border crisis, as well as probing the fraud and abuse related to COVID unemployment relief benefits and the infiltration of the Chinese Communist Party in the United States. Republicans on the House Oversight and Accountability Committees are committed to achieving what Democrats have neglected, rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse with the federal government and holding the Biden-Harris administration accountable. He says we have succeeded. It included the committee's latest Secret Service oversight following the attempted assassination of former President Trump at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally. Americans cannot afford another 4 years of the same failed policies and incompetence, Comer told Fox News. I don't know how many times the courts have told Joe Biden that he's not supposed to do this, but he keeps doing it. Joe Biden, that's what Kamala calls him, Joe Biden. Joe Biden has approved $175 billion in student loan forgiveness, another $175 billion. Less than 3 weeks before the November election, the Biden-Harris administration, this is not new. This is not new. This is the total of what they've done so far. It reminded them that they've delivered a historic amount of student debt relief, even as Republicans have challenged several of its efforts in court and balked at the cost. Another round of forgiveness announced today, bringing the total amount to student loan cancellation to more than $175 billion for nearly 5 million people. This is nothing more than a blatant attempt to buy votes. That's roughly equal to 11% of the outstanding federal debt loan matter out there. And you know, the thing about it is one of the reports I saw a while back showed that a lot of this help went to people who make $300,000 a year or more. They could have easily paid back the loan. It was a loan. But here we go, but the Supreme Court said you can't do it, and he finds a workaround. Another court says you can't do it, he finds a workaround. He's bound and determined to give away, a lot of money. And, I tell you what, we should be shouting this because I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that this hacks off. It hacks me off because I tell you what, I was stupid enough to think that I needed to pay for my kids' education. And her mother and I put the money aside so that she would not have to take out a loan and that she would go through 5 years of college. And now she's working for an architectural firm. And she didn't have to worry about paying it back. But, what a fool I was. Imagine that, trying to be responsible. I'm telling you, that chaps my butt. We talked about this the other day, but I really am fascinated by this. And here's a story that gives me a little more detail on it. The folks at Amazon, big, massive company, deliver stuff right to your doorstep. Apparently, they're going nuclear. They are planning to invest more than $500 million to develop their own small modular reactors. Amazon Web Services is investing more than $500 million in nuclear power, announcing 3 projects from Virginia to Washington State. Amazon's subsidiary Cloud Computing has massive and increasing needs for clean energy, and it's expanding its services into generative AI. It eats up so much electricity, you would be shocked if you knew how much electricity any of your little AI projects have taken up. It's also a part of Amazon's path to net zero carbon emissions. Amazon announced it has signed an agreement with Dominion Energy, Virginia's utility company, to explore the development of a small modular nuclear reactor, or SMR, near Dominion's existing North Anna nuclear power station. I know this one well. I used to go boating there. An SMR is an advanced type of nuclear reactor with a smaller footprint that allows it to be built closer to the grid. They also have faster construction times than traditional reactors, allowing them to come online sooner. An Amazon Web Services data center in Stone Ridge, Virginia, U.S. on the United States, on Sunday, July 28, 24, They're developing this stuff for them. Amazon is the largest tech company to buy into nuclear power to fuel the growing demands from data centers. Now, I believe very much in nuclear. I mean, I think nuclear is the answer. And you know, the military has, it's not really known, but the military has small nuclear power plants that it can deliver anywhere in the world. And they work. And so, you know, I guess this is sort of like that. It would be a smaller, modular nuclear power plant. Because I'm telling you, if AI is the future, and everybody says AI is the future, we're going to need a lot of electricity. If electric cars are the future, and I'm not sure they are, but a lot of people say that it will be, you know, where's the electricity coming from? Maybe it comes from every little town having their own little nuclear power plant. I think Watertown needs its own nuclear power plant.
Why don't you get right on that?
I'm gonna get on that.
You stick it out in the side yard there.
Yep. I got a little room over there, right next to the RV trailer. Put me a little power plant out there.
Get you a Homer Simpson statue and stand it up outside.
The Simpsons. What could possibly go wrong? Let's see. We got several stories about energy. See if I can go through these very quickly. Gavin Newsom has been trying to drive the oil industry out of business, includes forcing all 27 million California drivers out of gas-powered cars and into electric vehicles. California's war on oil, complete with excessive regulations and gas tax designed to make driving gas-powered cars unpalatable, has led California having the highest gas prices in the country. Newsom wants the very oil refineries then in the state to be out of business. He's trying to run them out. Phillips 66. He's trying to run them out of the state of California, and they say they will start the process of shutting down his Los Angeles refinery with a target date of the end of 2025. He says Phillips 66 says it's not a direct response to the law, but doesn't have to be. As the company's CEO, long-term sustainability of our Los Angeles refinery is uncertain. And that's because of the California regulatory environment. Okay, that's fine. Biden administration LNG export ban puts nearly 1 million jobs at risk, according to a new study. The Biden-Harris administration's ban on new permits for liquefied natural gas threatens nearly 1 million jobs over the 2 decades if the restriction remains in place, a new study finds. Why would you be against LNG? Why would you be against liquefied natural gas? It's way cleaner than oil. It's the bridge, really, quite frankly, if you want to know the truth. And Kamala once threatened to jail oil executives, and from our Wayback Machine. November 2019, at a town hall in South Carolina, that oil companies and fossil fuel companies should be really prepared to look at a serious fine or be charged with a crime for their role in what leftists claim is a climate crisis. Not unlike tobacco companies, she said. You won't hear her saying that kind of nonsense today, will you? I'm pretty sure you won't. CNN says Harris made similar remarks at the time in an interview with the leftist magazine Mother Jones. I mean, you know, the things she has said in the past that she has walked away from are, I mean, it's unbelievable, the things she has said, the crazy, loony, left ideas. She won't say any of that stuff right now. Not at all. Finally, we'll end on a lighter note. Dana McMichael was on vacation in Thailand with her husband when she accidentally swallowed her wedding ring with a handful of pills. An X-ray confirmed the location of the diamond. An Atlanta woman was taking her daily vitamins on vacation when she accidentally swallowed her diamond ring. 39-year-old husband Randy McMichael were on vacation in Thailand. They went out for dinner and drinks. When I got back, I wanted to shower. She's a travel blogger, said she was beyond jet lagged after a long day of traveling and preparing to shower when she took off her wedding ring and actually swallowed it with a handful of vitamins. Without looking, I threw everything in my mouth and washed it down with water. When I started choking on the pills, I noticed my ring was missing. I knew something was wrong. They began looking around the hotel room thinking, surely I didn't swallow it. But she did. They went to after 2 days, they went to a local clinic to get an x-ray, and there it was. She said, funniest thing to ever happen to me. The ring is expected to pass naturally.
Just be patient.
Be patient. Few days. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Big news from the folks at DT McCall's. If you've been thinking about buying a gun safe but putting it off, now is the time, because gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so be sure to keep your guns safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall. You didn't know it, but DT McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in all of Tennessee. It has to do with their policy on free delivery and setup. Others charge $300, $500 for the big ones, and $300 for the smaller ones. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe free every time, period. No setup charge either. Security is important these days, and at Liberty gun safe from DT McCall can be used for many things. Valuables, cash, mama's jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire. Save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.